Chapter 920. These cultivators could cast spells, while the people of the Blue True Hope tribe couldn't form a circle formed from the power of hope. This was not an equal fight at all. As Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness swept out, he was shocked to find that his spiritual consciousness, which originally could only stretch out to a range of a kilometer, had suddenly strengthened. At this time, even if his divine sense stretched out to a distance of 2,000 meters, he still had the strength to spare. Suddenly, there was an additional aura of rules in the originally lawless world. No matter what was going on, Ning Cheng knew that he had to take advantage of this opportunity to leave. As soon as he rushed out of the wooden house, he found that the man from the Hope tribe, who had saved him once, was besieged by two cultivators. Although the power of hope protecting his body was very powerful, one of them managed to entangle him. At the same time, the other person's long hook-type weapon had already shot towards the top of the Hope tribesman's head. Ning Cheng, who wanted to rush out, did not even think about it before bringing out a Dao artifact long spear and shooting it out. In this place, the laws were broken and one's divine sense weakened. A divine artifact of too high a level would instead restrict his ability to unleash his full potential. Boom! Ning Cheng's long spear and the opposite party's long hook magical weapon collided, causing the essence chi to explode out. Whether it was the strength of spiritual consciousness or the strength of spirit essence, the difference between this cultivator and Ning Cheng was too great. Ning Cheng's spear directly blasted the cultivator away, but before he could even fall, Ning Cheng's spear pattern immediately followed up and landed on his body. However, in this land of broken laws, the power of Ning Cheng's spear patterns greatly decreased after blasting out. Moreover, the other party's strength shouldn't be low. Therefore, this spear pattern didn't manage to cut the other party in half. Instead, it only left a bloody mist on his body. The other cultivator, who was entangling the man from the Hope tribe, saw his companion being blasted away by Ning Cheng and quickly retreated a few feet away. He feared that Ning Cheng and this man from the Hope tribe would besiege him. "Thank you for saving me once." The man from the Hope tribe managed to escape from death and thanked Ning Cheng gratefully. Ning Cheng smiled, "No need to thank me. You also saved me in the past." This man from the Hope tribe obviously wasn't a scheming person. So when he heard Ning Cheng's words, his face immediately turned a little red. Because when he pulled Ning Cheng up, he didn't actually save Ning Cheng. Instead, he tied Ning Cheng up and brought him to the Hope clan. "My name is Qiao Yi." The man from the Hope tribe spoke again. "I'm called Ning Cheng." Ning Cheng had a very good impression of Qiao Yi, who had helped him once, and did not hide his name. Why did so many people come here to attack today? Why didn't His Majesty see it? Not good, the king is in danger. Qiao Yi, who was talking to Ning Cheng, on hearing Ning Cheng mention the king, immediately remembered the king's situation and turned around to leave. However, he quickly thought of something and quickly looked at Ning Cheng again and spoke with a pleading voice. "Ning Cheng, I want to save the king. Can you help me?" Ning Cheng did not hesitate and directly replied, "You once saved me, so of course I can help you. It's just that there are too many Dharma cultivators here, and I'm no match for them. So, after I help you, I have to escape as soon as possible. I'm afraid your Blue True Hope tribe this time." Ning Cheng's words meant that the Blue True Hope tribe was in some danger this time. Thank you. After Joey finished, he turned around and walked away. He didn't care about the cultivators of the Hope tribe outside, nor did he care about Ning Cheng's words. Following behind Qiao Yi, Ning Cheng had some doubts in his heart. If the Blue True Hope tribe could be killed so easily, how could they have stood here for so many years? After Joey led Ning Cheng around the public square, two giant trees suddenly appeared in front of Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng had observed the public square many times, but he had never seen these two giant trees. Seeing Joey rush into the giant trees, Ning Cheng also rushed in. As soon as he entered, Ning Cheng felt as if he had entered another world. Bursts of Dharma technique fluctuations and essence chi explosions spread out, and there was even a faint smell of blood in the air. Immediately after, Ning Cheng saw more than a dozen cultivators fighting around a beautiful woman. Ning Cheng knew this beautiful woman. She was Aunt Li, whom he had seen when monitoring Lan Bing's room. There were more than a dozen corpses lying on the ground, both men and women. Most of them belonged to the Blue True Hope tribe, but there were also a few cultivators who had died. The beautiful woman was covered in blood, looking battered and exhausted, and her clothes were in tatters. Although every time she attacked, a white light would shoot out. However, there were just too many cultivators besieging her. "I'm going to kill you bandits." Joey saw the miserable scene in front of him, roared, and rushed forward in a frenzy. A little further away, a cloud of white mist swirled around, and there seemed to be something inside the mist. Lan Bing, on the other hand, was sitting on the edge of the mist, ignoring the outside world. One could say that if it weren't for the beautiful woman blocking these cultivators would have rushed over and killed Lan Bing a long time ago. The mist seemed to contain endless nomological powers, and the nomological powers between heaven and earth seemed to be absorbed by the mist. Ning Cheng sighed. He had already guessed a few things. If he didn't guess wrong, this mist should be the bestowing lawless fruit. Most likely, the time for the bestowing lawless fruit to ripen had come, and the Hope tribe had somehow leaked this amazing news. Joey had just rushed over, and with the armor of will, he didn't need to worry about it for a while. As for the beautiful woman, Ning Cheng looked at her and understood that if he didn't take action, this beautiful woman would only last a dozen breaths at most before dying. He came here to help Joey, and now that Joey had taken action, Ning Cheng naturally wouldn't stand idly by. Bringing out a long spear, he rolled up a burst of spear shadows and rushed towards the beautiful woman. Perhaps due to the ripening of the bestowing lawless fruit, it had greatly enhanced his spiritual consciousness. But compared to his spirit techniques, this spiritual consciousness was far from enough for him to use spirit techniques. The spear shadows rushed into the group of cultivators and instantly cut off the arm of a cultivator who was about to kill the beautiful woman. But before the cultivator could catch his breath, Ning Cheng's long spear drew a nearly invisible line and cut off the head of the cultivator with the severed arm. Ning Cheng had killed one person as soon as he arrived, but it still wasn't enough to change the situation. It only put the beautiful woman, who had almost lost her life, in a precarious situation. "You're a cultivator, yet you're helping this group of Hope apostles." A middle-aged male cultivator saw Ning Cheng using a spell to kill a person and immediately cursed. The beautiful woman didn't expect Ning Cheng to come and help her. But before she could thank Ning Cheng, several more blade lights blasted towards her. At this moment, Lan Bing, who had been sitting on the edge of the white mist, suddenly stood up. She waved her hands and chanted something. Ning Cheng, who was about to attack, suddenly felt a chill run down his spine. It felt as if a huge invisible palm had bound him tightly. At this moment, his spirit essence and spiritual consciousness, which he had cultivated for half a month, also felt completely restrained. A deep prayer kept ringing in his ears, making it impossible for him to refuse. "Don't kill Ning Cheng." The beautiful woman had just called out when endless white blade lights rained down from the sky. Waves of screams rang out in Ning Cheng's ears, and Ning Cheng saw the cultivators besieging the beautiful woman getting torn to pieces by the endless blade lights. The next moment he also found himself trapped by the endless blade lights. Streaks of blade radiance bombarded his body, tearing open his clothes and leaving bloody wounds on his body. Ning Cheng felt a chill in his heart. He felt sure that if he weren't a body-forging cultivator with a full-circle starry sky body, he would have already died like the other cultivators. "Bing, don't kill Ning Cheng. Stop." The beautiful woman continued to call out. Lan Bing still didn't stop, and the endless blade lights grew even sharper. The white light grew more and more intense, and even Ning Cheng couldn't hold on any longer. At this moment, Ning Cheng's body had already turned blood-stained. This scene of being bound by a powerful force and waiting for death made Ning Cheng feel very aggrieved. "Your Majesty, please spare Ning Cheng." Xiao Yi knelt on the ground. But Lan Bing still didn't have any intention of stopping. She continued to condense her hand seals, and the white light kept sweeping out endlessly. Ning Cheng felt a little regretful. He knew that the Hope tribe wouldn't be this simple, and it seemed that it was indeed the case. If this continued, even his starry sky body wouldn't be able to bear it. Poof! Finally, when another blade light swept away a bloody mist from Ning Cheng's body, Lan Bing stopped chanting. Qiao Yi immediately came to Ning Cheng's side and held him with both hands. Ning Cheng, are you okay? After Lan Bing stopped chanting and making hand seals, his spiritual consciousness finally recovered a little. He casually took out a robe and put it on his blood-stained body before saying to Qiao Yi, I'm fine. I'm leaving. Let's meet again if fate wills it. While speaking, Ning Cheng quickly used his spiritual consciousness to carve a teleportation array deep under his feet. After carving the teleportation array, he slowly withdrew from the two giant trees. He felt a threat from it, a threat to his life. He had come here to help, but Lan Bing didn't show any mercy when she killed him. This made him feel even more aware of this woman's ruthlessness. Even though the cultivators around him had already been killed, Lan Bing still kept mobilizing the will-powered blade lights to attack him. The reason why he set up a teleportation array was that he wanted to take away a few bestowing lawless fruits before leaving. He owed Qiao Yi, not Lan Bing. Since Lan Bing injured him like this, he would feel very uncomfortable if he didn't come back to get some compensation. As Ning Cheng walked out of the two giant trees, all he saw were corpses. Except for the few clansmen of the Hope clan who were still alive, all the cultivators who came in had been killed by the will-powered blade lights without exception. Qiao Yi also caught up and apologized to Ning Cheng. I'm sorry. His Majesty was anxious about our Hope clan's crisis, so he mobilized the power of Hope from the sacred statue to attack these cultivators. He didn't mean to target you. Ning Cheng smiled and patted Qiao Yi's shoulder. It's okay. I can understand. If I want to get out of the land of broken laws, do you have a better map? Looking at Ning Cheng's blood-stained face and the blade light's wounds, Qiao Yi felt even more guilty. He shook his head. Once you enter the land of broken laws, you can't get out. I don't have a map. If you don't have one, then forget it. I'll take my leave first. After Ning Cheng said that, he quickened his pace and quickly walked out of the Hope clan's empty grassland and through the canyon. Along the way, Ning Cheng saw the corpses of the Hope clan, and he couldn't help but sigh in his heart. The underworld really was everywhere. Even in the depths of the land of broken laws, such a thing happened. As for himself, wasn't he here to steal the bestowing lawless fruits? Chapter 9:21. Hand over the relic or die. Lan Bing suddenly appeared at the entrance of the valley and stopped in front of Ning Cheng. She spoke with an ice-cold tone and no longer had the gentleness from before when she wanted to marry Ning Cheng. Not long after Lan Bing stopped Ning Cheng, the rest of the people also came out. Seeing Lan Bing stopping Ning Cheng, the rest of the Hope tribesmen who came out immediately surrounded Ning Cheng. Feeling the bursts of power of Hope binding him, Ning Cheng felt very uncomfortable. He looked at Lan Bing, who had stopped him, and said in a calm tone, I don't understand what you're talking about. If you want to fight, go ahead. Ning Cheng made up his mind. As long as the other party made a gesture and started to chant the incantation for the power of Hope, he would immediately ignite his essence blood and activate the twin wings of the heavenly clouds to escape. He had to grasp his own life in his own hands. He couldn't allow himself to be bound by the boundless anima of yearning like he had been before, allowing the anima of yearning to strike him at will. At that time, he wouldn't even have a chance to escape, only able to await his death. Moreover, he suspected that it was not that Lan Bing wanted to spare him, but that Lan Bing's ability could only go so far. In fact, Ning Cheng was not wrong in his suspicions. Lan Bing truly did not have the spare energy to continue mobilizing the power of Hope to deal with Ning Cheng, which was why she let Ning Cheng walk out of the valley. At this moment, even the beautiful woman and Joey, who wanted to plead for leniency, didn't dare to say anything. The matter of the Hope tribe's sacred relic was the most important matter. For the Blue True Hope tribe, no one could butt in on such matters. Take him down and send him to the holy statue as a sacrifice. Lan Bing didn't even ask any questions and directly gave the order. Joey opened his mouth but didn't say anything in the end. The beautiful woman sighed, but she didn't say anything either. Hearing their king's order, dozens of Hope tribesmen who had surrounded Ning City rushed up. Ning Cheng did not hesitate to burn his essence blood, as he desperately stimulated the twin wings of the heavenly clouds. Before these Hope tribesmen could surround him, he rushed out of the encirclement and disappeared. Lan Bing looked at Ning Qing disappearing into the distance with some disbelief and murmured, "The sacred statue's absorption of the bestowing lawless fruit has already ended, and the laws have already disappeared. How could he still have a spiritual consciousness here? You can use a magic treasure to escape?" No one could answer her, but there was a trace of relief in the beautiful woman's eyes. She didn't want her savior to die in front of her without being able to help. Ning Qing did not go far before he stopped at the foot of a broken and bare mountain peak. Originally, because he cultivated the dark nether-devouring spirit scripture, his spiritual consciousness could stretch out to a distance of 1 kilometer in the Hope Tribe's lair. At this time, he had already escaped from the Hope Tribe's lair, and his spiritual consciousness had already stretched out to a range of 5,000 to 6,000 meters. This made Ning Qing feel a lot more relaxed. With this kind of spiritual consciousness, coupled with the hope-powered jade seal, even if he clashed head-on with Man Huishan, wouldn't he still have a chance to survive? If he encountered a cultivator who lived in the land of broken laws for the rest of his life, he could easily kill them. Not far from the side of this bare mountain peak was a swamp. This swamp was the place where Ning Qing had fallen into. Ning Qing dug a simple immortal cave in the middle of this mountain peak. He wasn't afraid of Lan Bing chasing after him. Even if Lan Bing chased after him, he still had a way to escape. Since this woman was determined to kill him, he would take some interest before leaving. By the end of the day, with the help of top-quality healing pills, Ning Qing's injuries had long since healed, allowing him to start arranging the transmission array. Another day passed by. When Ning Qing felt that it was almost time, he immediately activated the transmission array. A few moments later, Ning Qing arrived at the place where he had arranged the transmission array. The 2 giant trees were still not far away, and the place wrapped in white mist was still in front of him. Bursts of strong law fluctuations spread out, and Ning Qing felt a little excited. This white mist must be the bestowing lawless fruit. He quickly approached the white mist, and after confirming that there were no problems, he quickly entered the white mist. Entering the white mist, Ning Qing didn't encounter any resistance, nor did he encounter any attacks. Ning Qing easily entered the white mist. Even Ning Qing himself did not dare to believe it, it was simply too simple. 4 ripple-like fruits floated in the air. These fruits obviously couldn't feel any laws, but they still absorbed the laws of heaven and earth. There were no fruit trees, no soil and no smell. Only a few ripple-like fruits floated in the air. Ning Qing's spiritual consciousness couldn't penetrate these fruits at all. All the fruits had a faint gray color, and if they were any lighter, he wouldn't be able to see them at all. Was this the bestowing lawless fruit? Ning Qing stepped forward and carefully grabbed one of the bestowing lawless fruit, but it felt a little illusory in his hand. Ning Qing quickly took out a jade box and put the fruit, which was only the size of a goose egg, into it. Just as he was about to pick the second fruit, a sigh rang out in Ning Qing's ears. Ning Qing immediately felt horrified. He no longer had the mood to pick the second fruit and immediately exited the white mist to teleport away. However, he soon stopped teleporting because he saw an acquaintance. The beautiful woman was standing not far away, looking at him. The beautiful woman also held a white card in her hand, which also had some law ripples on it. Ning Qing's expression turned awkward, and he spoke with a dry voice. "What a coincidence." The beautiful woman shook her head. "It's not a coincidence. I guessed that you would come here and waited for you. Since you've already obtained the bestowing lawless fruit, you can leave now." After saying that, the beautiful woman put the white card into her arms. Even if Ning Qing was an idiot, he understood that the other party had helped him. Although he couldn't figure out why the beautiful woman wanted to help him, he still took out the jade box and handed it to the beautiful woman. Sorry. I felt a little uncomfortable because Lan Bing cut me countless times. So I wanted to come and see. Since you saw me helping you, I'll give it back to you." Now that he was caught stealing, even if Ning Qing had thick skin, he couldn't just walk away like that. Moreover, Ning Qing vaguely guessed that it was this beautiful woman's help that allowed him to enter the white mist without being discovered. When the beautiful woman saw Ning Qing take out the jade box and return the bestowing lawless fruit to her with an awkward expression, she showed a smile. However, she shook her head. "No need. You can take it. This fruit was originally my gift to you. I also have a share of the fruits here. Since you saved my life, it's only right for me to return it to you. It's just that you can only take one with you. Ning Cheng finally understood why he could pick the bestowing lawless fruit without any hindrance. Seeing that the beautiful woman wasn't pretending, he hesitated for a moment before putting away the bestowing lawless fruit. What's elder sister's name? Ning Cheng understood what the beautiful woman meant. If he hadn't come to help, this beautiful woman wouldn't have lasted until Lan Bing stood up and mobilized the power of hope to attack the enemy. In fact, he didn't want to help this beautiful woman. Instead, he promised to repay Xiao Yi's kindness. The beautiful woman smiled. Just call me a Sui. I'm not an elder sister. After saying that, she took out another jade strip and handed it to Ning Cheng. This jade strip contains a route. I'm not sure if it will lead us out of the land of broken laws, but it's the only route that might lead us out of the land of broken laws. Thank you, elder sister Li. You should be the king of the Blue True Hope tribe. Ning Cheng happily took the jade strip. For him, this was the most valuable thing. It was even more valuable than the bestowing lawless fruit in his hand. Talking to this beautiful woman called Li was much more comfortable than facing Lan Bing. Li's face showed some sadness. She was originally the king of the Blue True Hope tribe. Because of her failure, because of her indecisiveness, because of her deceit, she not only failed to bring up the Blue True Hope tribe, but also caused it to wither. Bing was obviously more suitable to be the king than her. Only under Bing's leadership could the Blue True Hope tribe leave the land of broken laws and have their own place. You should leave quickly. Bing is coming. I gave her everything here not long ago. Li came back to her senses and sighed. After listening to Xiao Yi's words, she knew that Ning Cheng had come here to repay her kindness. From this, she understood that Ning Cheng was a person who knew how to repay kindness. She had also been saved by Ning Cheng. Since Ning Cheng knew how to repay kindness, the people of her Blue True Hope tribe also knew how to repay kindness. She couldn't stop the king from attacking Ning Cheng, but she could help Ning Cheng as much as she could. Although she knew that giving up the bestowing lawless fruit wasn't something she could do, it was a major event for the Blue True Hope tribe. Even if she was Bing's aunt and the previous king, she would most likely end up in the dungeon because of this matter. Many thanks, elder sister Li. Ning Cheng will take his leave. Ning Cheng thanked her again and took out the teleportation array flag. If you have a conflict with Bing in the future, please let her go for my sake. Li followed up just as Ning Cheng was about to leave. She had thought that even if Ning Cheng wanted to come here, he would have come here stealthily. She didn't expect Ning Cheng to come in through a teleportation array. Ning Cheng could carve a teleportation array here and then teleport in without using any tricks. This showed that he wasn't a simple cultivator. He was likely to become a powerhouse in the future. She didn't say those words casually. Who could guarantee that such a thing wouldn't happen in the future? Ning Cheng nodded. As long as she doesn't violate me, I won't touch her for your sake. After saying this, Ning Cheng seemed to have thought of something again. He took out a jade box and handed it to Li. This is a small token of my appreciation. Consider it as a repayment. After saying this, Ning Cheng brought out the array flag and disappeared in an instant. Li opened the jade box, and a jade seal carved with a sacred butterfly appeared inside. Ning Cheng knew that he and Li would never have a chance to meet again. He never liked to owe people a favor. Li thought that he had saved her life, but only Ning Cheng knew that he had only helped Xiao Yi. This time, because of Li's kindness, he decided to return the jade seal to Li to repay the other party's help. Now that he had a route map in the land of laws, and his spiritual consciousness was slowly growing stronger, he was no longer the ant who had just escaped into the land of laws. Even without the hope-powered jade seal, he didn't need to fear anyone. Chapter 9:22. Ali clenched the jade box in his hand, and his heart surged. She didn't expect that just to repay a debt of gratitude, she would actually get the Hope Tribe's ancient desolate wish butterfly in exchange. Although it was wrapped by the imperial jade seal, she was sure that this was the real ancient desolate wish butterfly. Placing the imperial jade seal on her chest, Li looked at the spot where Ning Cheng disappeared. After a while, she murmured, Thank you, you are a real man. After a while, she continued to mutter to herself, not only are you a real man, you will also be a real expert in the future, I'm sure. A Dharma cultivator seriously injured by the power of hope, yet you managed to fully recover in such a short time. Even if I didn't give you the map jade strip, the land of broken laws wouldn't be able to bind you. As a former king of the Blue True Hope tribe, Li naturally knew how terrible it was to be injured by the power of hope. No matter how strong one was, it wouldn't be easy for them to recover their cultivation in a place like the land of broken laws, let alone in just a few days. From this, it could be seen that Ning Qing definitely had a huge secret on him, something that even surpassed the power of hope. The power of will was not the strongest power in the vast universe, but it was not something that any power could surpass. The purest power of wish, even divine origin energy, could not shake it. In Li's view, Ning Qing not only had a big secret, but he also had a big mind and a man's principles. Although she knew that the ancient desolate wish butterfly wasn't as valuable as the bestowing lawless fruit to Ning Qing, she felt sure that Ning Qing didn't know about it. Ning Qing didn't know the true value of the bestowing lawless fruit. But because he didn't want to take advantage of her, he returned the ancient desolate wish butterfly to her. Ning Qing had already refined a part of the ancient desolate butterfly jade seal. Therefore, Ning Qing definitely knew about its function. It could even save his life in the land of broken laws. Under such circumstances, Ning Qing handed over the ancient desolate wish butterfly. If this was not a big heart, then what was it? But before this, Bing had used the blade lights made of willpower to suppress Ning Qing, almost killing Ning Qing. When she asked Ning Qing if he had the Hope Clan's sacred relic, Ning Qing still showed disdain and never thought of taking out a sacred relic in exchange for his life. If this wasn't a man's principle, then what was it? If Ning Qing knew that Li had such a high status in his eyes, he would have definitely blushed with shame. One might even say that this woman from the Hope tribe was truly naive. The reason why he did not hand over the Imperial Jade Seal was because he knew that if he did, he would die faster. At the same time, it was also because the Jade Seal was obtained with great difficulty. It was absolutely impossible for him to hand it over so easily. If he was really trapped, and his life hung by a thread, then the Imperial Jade Seal could be exchanged for his small life. Then Ning Qing would not hesitate to hand over the Imperial Jade Seal in exchange for his small life. However, Li wasn't wrong about one thing. Ning Qing indeed had his own principles in everything he did. Li stared at the transmission array in front of Ning Qing for a while before suddenly picking up the Imperial Jade Seal on her chest. She then made a series of hand gestures while constantly chanting. After a dozen breaths, the Imperial Jade Seal, which Ning Qing treated as a weapon made from the power of hope, suddenly cracked open, and a faintly glowing bird fell into Li's hands. If Ning Qing were here, he would have clearly seen that this bird looked exactly the same as the bird carved on the upper half of the Imperial Jade Seal, which was the Hope Tribe's sacred butterfly. I sacrifice my soul, I sacrifice my bloodline. Ancient desolate wish butterfly, condense. After saying this, Li placed the sacred butterfly directly on her glabella. A faint ripple spread out from her glabella. After Li removed her hand, the ancient desolate wish butterfly had already disappeared without a trace, without even the slightest aura. However, Li's glabella didn't have the slightest trace, as if she hadn't placed anything on it. Li rubbed her hand, and the cracked Imperial Jade Seal turned into flying ash before disappearing without a trace. When Ning Qing handed the Imperial Jade Seal to Li, he didn't care about what Li would do with it. However, Ning Qing also guessed that Li would give the Imperial Jade Seal to King Lan Bing. If Ning Qing had to think about it, he would never have thought that Li not only didn't give the Imperial Jade Seal to Lan Bing, but also condensed it into her glabella. Ning Qing took out the map jade strip Li had given him. He felt sure that this jade strip didn't belong to the Hope Tribe. Moreover, the Hope Tribe cultivated the power of hope. Ning Qing didn't know whether they had spiritual consciousness or not, but he was sure that Li didn't have any spiritual consciousness. This map jade strip was different from other map jade strips. It didn't have a positioning array formation on it. Instead, it only had a map engraved on it. Only by holding this jade strip and comparing it with the surrounding scenery could one find a reference point. One could say that without spiritual consciousness, holding this map jade strip in the land of broken laws would be useless. Ning Cheng not only had spiritual consciousness, but he could also stretch it out to 5 or 6,000 meters. He quickly found a reference point in this map jade strip, which was the bare mountain peak he was currently standing on. Following the first reference point, Ning Cheng kept searching. A few days later, Ning Cheng seemed to have a vague feeling that something was wrong. He immediately raised his guard and became even more vigilant. However, this feeling of uneasiness didn't bring him any danger. Even after a few days, Ning Cheng didn't suffer any real attacks. As time passed, this feeling of uneasiness gradually faded away. Ning Cheng breathed in a sigh of relief. He felt like a bird startled by the mere twang of a bowstring. He didn't know which corner Man Huishan was lost in. How could it be such a coincidence that he was waiting for him here? Besides, if someone like Man Huishan wanted to attack him, why would he wait for so many days? Most likely, Man Huishan would have attacked him the moment he saw him. Ning Cheng couldn't believe that a second-step Dao-confirming cultivator would stalk an eternal cultivator looking for an opportunity to strike. Without any worries, Ning Cheng walked for more than half a month according to the map on the jade strip. Only then did he realize how big the land of broken laws was and how far he had run after entering the land of broken laws. Over the past month, he hadn't even covered 1% of the distance. In other words, at this speed, it would take him at least many years to get out of the land of broken laws. However, Ning Cheng also felt relieved. Over the past month or so, he mainly checked the authenticity of the map jade strip. After walking for more than a month, Ning Cheng finally believed that the map jade strip was genuine. Next, he just needed to bring out the Starry Sky battleship and fly along the route marked on the map. It would definitely be faster if he used the Starry Sky battleship. With the route marked on the map, Ning Cheng estimated that it would only take him half a year to get out of the land of broken laws. Putting away the jade strip, Ning Cheng felt very grateful towards the beautiful woman. If Li hadn't given him this jade strip, even if he had the top-grade Starry Sky battleship, he might not have been able to get out of the land of broken laws. It wasn't a sensational thing for him to end up dying in the land of broken laws because he got lost. Even if his spiritual consciousness reached 5 to 6,000 meters, he would still be an ant in this vast and boundless land of broken laws filled with countless dangers. Ning Cheng didn't know which powerhouse had drawn this jade strip in the first place, but it was simply too powerful. Ning Cheng felt an inexplicable sense of comfort when he thought about how he was about to get out, and how Man Huishan, who had been chasing him, was still nowhere to be found. Don't look at Man Huishan's second-step Dao-confirming cultivation. He might be able to kill him easily in the land of broken laws. But in the face of this land of broken laws, he, Man Huishan, was still an ant. As long as there was no such map, Man Huishan wouldn't be able to get out of the land of broken laws and could only wander around inside. The land of broken laws had no direction and no laws. This wasn't something that could be made up for with high cultivation. Ning Cheng was just about to take out the Starry Sky battleship when a soul-invading killing intent suddenly blasted over from the side. Man Huishan. Ning Cheng instantly determined that the person who sneaked up on him was Man Huishan. This sneak attack almost scared Ning Cheng out of his wits. Man Huishan was simply too despicable. A second-step Dao-confirming expert actually sneaked up on a puny eternal cultivator like him. At this moment, how could Ning Cheng not know what was going on with that trace of unease? This Man Huishan had learned to be treacherous. Ning Cheng had only felt a trace of unease before, but he didn't feel any sense of crisis. It wasn't until the moment Man Huishan sneak attacked that he felt a sense of danger. Ning Cheng didn't even think about it. In an instant, he crazily stimulated all his spirit essence and punched back. At this moment, he had nowhere to escape. Apart from blocking, he had no other way. Moreover, his spiritual consciousness was 1,000 times stronger than when he first entered the land of broken laws. Moreover, the spirit essence he punched out was also much more powerful. Otherwise, he wouldn't even have the ability to resist. Boom! A violent force swept over, and Ning Cheng flew out like a kite with a broken string. A line of blood splattered through the air, and Man Huishan's attack almost shattered his internal organs. Feeling a wave of weakness and exhaustion, Ning Cheng forcibly raised his spiritual consciousness. How could he care about pill toxins? He directly swallowed a handful of medicinal pills and took advantage of the momentum to escape. Only Ning Cheng knew how terrible his injuries were. Even the medicinal pills he personally refined couldn't stop his injuries from worsening. He had learned from the last time he almost caught Ning Cheng and let Ning Cheng escape by a fluke. This time, Man Huishan came fully prepared and even tried to kill Ning Cheng. But he didn't expect Ning Cheng to still be able to escape. No wonder you're so arrogant. It turns out that you're a powerful body-forging cultivator. Man Huishan gave a cold snort and turned into a shadow as he chased after Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng wasn't a body-forging expert. That attack just now could have torn Ning Cheng's corporeal body to pieces. He hated those disgusting Hope Clan. If it weren't for those disgusting Hope Clan besieging him, causing him to lose 80 to 90% of his strength, he would have already killed Ning Cheng even if Ning Cheng was a body-forging cultivator. After entering the land of broken laws, he didn't have much of his strength left. If he lost 80 to 90% of his strength, he wouldn't have been able to kill a powerful body-forging cultivator like Ning Cheng. In the land of broken laws, it wasn't easy to recover from being attacked by the power of hope. In order to catch Ning Cheng, he had learned his previous lesson. Previously, every time he wanted to catch Ning Cheng could walk away calmly. After being besieged by the Hope Clan, Ning Cheng suffered serious injuries. Man Huishan concluded that Ning Cheng had an intuition that could sense his killing intent in advance. Half a month ago, when Man Huishan discovered Ning Cheng again, he completely restrained his killing intent. He even approached Ning Cheng as a passerby. This was a difficult feat for ordinary people. But for a second-step Dao-confirming expert, it wasn't difficult for Man Huishan to do so. Man Huishan didn't expect that Ning Cheng had also sensed something wrong. It was only because he was able to remain calm and did not make a move against Ning Cheng, which allowed Ning Cheng to gradually relax, allowing him to successfully strike him. But even so, because Ning Cheng's strength had soared, his strength hadn't recovered. Under such circumstances, Ning Cheng suffered serious injuries but still managed to escape. Chapter 923. Despair rose in Ning Cheng's heart. The gap between him and Man Huishan was too big. Coupled with his previous injuries, he couldn't resist even if he wanted to. This place reminded him of a novel he had read before. In that novel, there was a valley of vile men. It seemed that some people with nowhere to go had entered the valley of vile men. Ning Cheng didn't know if this place was filled with people with nowhere else to go. At the very least, he had no choice but to stay here. Talkative fellow. Man Huishan snorted coldly. He didn't care about Ning Cheng's words at all. Ning Cheng was just an ant who hadn't reached Dao-confirming realm. If he wanted to punch him, he would have to wait until his next life. He did have 2 breaking boundary talismans, but unfortunately, this was the land of broken laws. As such, the breaking boundary talismans had no use at all. Even the teleportation array he had set up in the Blue True Hope tribe could only teleport a short distance. Moreover, he needed to condense a trace of the laws of space within the range of his spiritual consciousness. The powerful impact caused Ning Cheng's movements to stagnate. Another blood mist sprayed out from his body as his body crashed into the foot of the mountain in the distance. The dark-faced middle-aged man said with a calm voice, "Go and handle the formalities. It's the same 10 million spirit crystals." This made Ning Cheng wonder if the group of cultivators who wanted to steal the bestowing lawless fruit from the Hope tribe had come out of this place. The dark-faced middle-aged man didn't take Ning Cheng's storage bag. Instead, he turned to a silver-haired woman not far away and said, "Take this newcomer to go through the residential procedures." Ning Cheng felt a sense of respect for this person. In a place without any laws, this person had arranged such a powerful law array formation. This showed that this valley master was not only a powerful person but also had a broad mind. He used the verdant nature to encourage the many cultivators living in the valley to survive. Man Huishan sneered, stepped forward, and raised his hand to grab at Ning Cheng. Ning Chung looked at Man Huishan's face and immediately knew what Man Huishan was thinking. He felt very comfortable in his heart and said, "Man Huishan, are you still thinking about how to secretly kill me and then escape the Valley of Peace?" However, Man Huishan quickly got up and calmly stared at the dark-faced middle-aged man who had punched him. "I don't know this Dao friend. Why did this Dao friend attack me?" However, Man Huishan coughed up a mouthful of blood and flew backwards before slamming into the foot of the mountain on the other side. He indeed had some doubts. When he saw the turquoise color outside the Valley of Peace, he thought that the Valley of Peace had at least a little bit of the laws of heaven and earth, allowing some plants to survive. Now that he had entered, he realized how absurd his thoughts were. The black-faced man lightly glanced at Ning Cheng and said, "If anyone dares to start a fight here, I will also take action. It has nothing to do with saving you." Valley Master used a great divine ability to set up a nomological formation on those two mountain peaks. That's why the mountain peaks are covered in green all year round. Verger means hope, and Valley Master wants us to have hope that one day we will be able to walk out of the land of broken laws. The silver-haired woman replied with a smile. Ning Cheng calling her big sister made her very happy. With no way to escape, Ning Cheng immediately rushed in. He had a vague feeling that he could survive here. "Senior, I lost my way in the land of broken laws and want to live in the Valley of Peace." Ning Cheng, who had recovered a little, quickly stood up and stated his wish. He didn't want to go out and get chased by Man Huishan again. Man Huishan's face sank when he saw that Ning Cheng wanted to live here. He then cupped his fists towards the black-faced middle-aged man and said, "This Dao friend, I also want to live here." If he hadn't suffered any injuries, he could have used his full strength to escape and then brought out his starship. But at this moment, he suffered serious injuries and didn't have the opportunity to bring out his starship. Man Huishan's heart sank. Even if he recovered all his strength, he was only a Dao essence cultivator. In the land of broken laws, his strength was suppressed to the point of almost nothing. Moreover, the Valley Master here turned out to be a Dao fusion powerhouse who had stayed in the land of broken laws for so many years. Could he really walk out of the Valley of Peace after killing Ning Cheng? Ning Cheng looked at Man Huishan and didn't feel worried at all. Man Huishan didn't dare to make a move here, as the black-faced middle-aged man had already said. If Man Huishan dared to make a move again, he would die without a doubt. Looking at Man Huishan getting closer and closer behind him, Ning Cheng sighed. This bastard really lingered around like a ghost. Ning Cheng felt relieved. Fortunately, he still had more than 20 million spirit crystals. From the looks of it, living in this place wasn't a simple matter. If he didn't have so many spirit crystals, he would have to hand over the ring. If he dared to use a fake ring to fool around, he might end up dead. This was the second green place Ning Cheng saw after entering the land of broken laws. The first one naturally belonged to the Blue True Hope tribe. Man Huishan's face grew paler and paler, and anger burned in his heart. No one knew about a sneak attack on an eternal cultivator, so it didn't matter at all. Besides, if it weren't for the land of broken laws, would he even need to sneak attack? Once such a thing spread out, he would lose almost all his face. The black-faced middle-aged man's fist was clearly stronger than Man Huishan's. After the fist collided and the essence chi exploded, the black-faced man didn't move an inch. Ning Cheng shook his head and said, "It's not that others don't dare, but rather disdain. But this person might not necessarily be the case. This person's name is Man Huishan, and I heard that he's the Dragon Emperor of the Grand Essence C's barbarian dragon clan. Although his cultivation looks good, he's a despicable person. Look at the injuries on my body, they're all caused by his sneak attack. A Dao Essence Holy Emperor sneak attacked an eternal cultivator like me. This fellow has a lot of integrity. The only reason he lived here was to kill Ning Cheng. Once his cultivation recovered, he would definitely find a chance to kill Ning Cheng. As long as he killed Ning Cheng, he would immediately seal Ning Cheng's essence spirit and then leave the Valley of Peace with Ning Cheng's body. He was a dignified Dragon Emperor and a second-step Dao confirming expert. Naturally, he wouldn't be as shameless as Ning Cheng and argue with his grandfather's words. Although she didn't understand the meaning of integrity, The silver-haired woman looked at Man Huishan with contempt after hearing Ning Cheng's words. You're a Tao Essence Holy Emperor, but you're also a powerhouse among powerhouses. It's not a big deal for a holy emperor to kill an eternal cultivator. But you want to kill an eternal cultivator with a sneak attack? Not only is it despicable, but it's also shameless. Just when Ning Cheng decided to burn his life to save Man Huishan and find a way to drive the Starry Sky battleship, he saw two huge mountain peaks. 3 large words suspended in the middle of the mountain peaks, Valley of Peace. There were even verdant trees and flowers on the inside of the mountain peaks. Man Huishan also rushed into the valley at this time. But before Ning Cheng's long spear could come out, Man Huishan punched towards Ning Cheng. He didn't fear this dark-faced man. The reason why he suffered a loss was that he had been severely injured by the power of hope and hadn't recovered yet. Once he recovered, even if he couldn't easily defeat this dark-faced middle-aged man, he wouldn't be sent flying with a single punch. Elder sister, I just saw that the 2 mountain peaks still had some cyan color when I was outside. Why is it that after coming here, the other places are still so barren, and only those 2 mountain peaks still have a bit of cyan color? Ning Cheng didn't care about the blood covering his body and asked the silver-haired woman with cupped fists. Boom! A powerful essence chi explosion appeared not far in front of Ning Cheng, and a dark-faced middle-aged man blocked Man Huishan's punch. Without stopping Ning Cheng, he easily entered the Valley of Peace. As soon as he entered the valley, Ning Cheng saw the figures of several cultivators. Sure enough, this was the place where the Hope tribe spoke of Dharma cultivators. The boundary-breaking talisman could break through planar boundaries. With his spiritual consciousness, the laws of space he condensed would be completely useless against it. Ning Cheng didn't feel relieved because of this. No cultivator would help him for no reason, which meant that his crisis hadn't been resolved. His spiritual consciousness connected to the long spear and was just about to cut off all means of retreat to block the attack. Valley Master is an amazing person. Ning Cheng sighed. Man Huishan glanced at Ning Cheng with disdain and secretly despised him in his heart. This fellow's mouth sure knows how to talk. Ning Cheng thought to himself, even a Tao fusion powerhouse got forced into the land of broken laws. I wonder who has such great power. Even a Tao fusion powerhouse couldn't get out. From the looks of it, without a Li's map, he wouldn't be able to get out. Senior, this is my spirit crystal. Ning Cheng didn't hesitate to take out a storage bag and hand it to the dark-faced middle-aged man. Ning Cheng felt happy when he heard this. He quickly took out a few medicinal pills and swallowed them. At the same time, he cupped his fists towards the dark-faced man and said, "Many thanks, Senior, for saving me." The dark-faced man spoke up in a cold voice. In the Valley of Peace, anyone who fights will receive the first warning and the second one will be killed. I just warned you that if you dare to make another move, I will kill you. Thinking of the Blue True Hope tribe, Ning Cheng suddenly thought of another gathering place in the land of broken laws that opposed the Blue True Hope tribe. That was the place where Dharma cultivators lived. Ning Cheng guessed that the Valley of Peace should be the place where Dharma cultivators lived in the land of broken laws. The laws here were also broken and didn't have any spiritual chi. The verdant greenery here was only half of the mountain peak, while the other places were either monotonous yellow-gray or black and white. Ning Cheng didn't care about it at all. No matter what, this dark-faced middle-aged male cultivator had saved him once. He felt that this dark-faced middle-aged man's strength wasn't any lower than Man Huishan's. As for why Man Huishan got blasted away in a single exchange, it was naturally because he wasn't on guard. Moreover, this was the land of broken laws. Strength didn't necessarily mean that one would be stronger in here. Man Huishan's face turned livid with anger, but he didn't dare to act up. 2 ants dared to say something in front of him, a dignified dragon emperor, yet he had to endure it. The silver-haired woman raised her face. That's natural. Valley Master was already a Tao fusion powerhouse before entering the land of broken laws. After so many years, Valley Master's cultivation has naturally grown even stronger. As Ning Cheng's speed slowed down, the pressure from Man Huishan's killing intent grew stronger and stronger. Man Huishan snorted, but before he could answer, the silver-haired woman spoke up. He wouldn't dare. No one dares to kill in the Valley of Peace. Anyone can live in the Valley of Peace, as long as you take out your ring or 10 million spirit crystals. The dark-faced middle-aged man spoke up indifferently. Ning Cheng saw Man Huishan's disdainful gaze sweep over and snorted, "Man, Z, you punched your grandpa today. Remember it well for your grandpa Ning. One day, grandpa will punch you back." Chapter 924. After chatting with the silver-haired woman along the way, Ning Cheng learned that this silver-haired woman's name was Carol, a receptionist. She didn't have many things to do because there were too few people who came here. The Valley Master's name was Sai Kuyun. Ning Cheng only knew that he was very strong and treated everyone in the valley fairly. The dark-faced middle-aged man from before was called Eddie, one of the valley's guardians. Before Eddie came to the Valley of Peace, he was also a top-level powerhouse. Along the way, Ning Cheng saw some cultivators' caves. These cultivators' caves all looked ordinary, and only a few cultivators' caves gave off some faint spiritual chi fluctuations. According to Carol, after paying 10 million spirit crystals, one could live in one of these slightly low-level cultivator caves. If he had enough spirit crystals on him, he could live in a better cultivator's cave. Many of these caves were arranged jointly by several lords and contained a certain amount of laws of heaven and earth. However, these caves were different from the caves outside. They weren't free and required a certain amount of spirit crystals. If one had more money, one could even listen to the Tao. In the Valley of Peace, Tao fusion powerhouses often discussed the Tao. Some powerhouses who deliberately entered the land of broken laws would sometimes go there to discuss the Tao. Ning Cheng grew even more surprised when he heard this. Only now did he realize that there was more than one Tao fusion powerhouse in the Valley of Peace. Some people even deliberately entered the land of broken laws. Man Huishan's expression turned even uglier. The stronger the Valley of Peace, the harder it would be for him to achieve his goal. Senior Apprentice Sister Carol, did you say that someone deliberately entered the land of broken laws? Ning Cheng couldn't help but ask. He believed that everyone who entered the land of broken laws was forced to do so. Who would be so bored? Deliberately entering this place? Even if Man Huishan came here, it was to hunt him down. Man Huishan snorted disdainfully. Ignorant child. What's so strange about deliberately coming to the land of broken laws? Although he said that he came here to hunt Ning Cheng, he also had the idea of coming here to take a look. But he didn't expect Ning Cheng to be so slippery. Even he lost his way in the end. Carol spoke with a solemn tone. Naturally, there are many people who deliberately enter the land of broken laws. It's just that most of these people have fallen in the land of broken laws, and not many can find the Valley of Peace. Ning Cheng asked in doubt, Senior Apprentice Sister Carol, I've been in the land of broken laws for a long time. Although it's a little dangerous, there's no life-threatening danger, right? Carol smiled. That's because you've only been here for a short time, and you're lucky enough not to fall into a dead end. As long as you continue to stay in the land of broken laws, you will find that what you see is just the tip of the iceberg. Ning Cheng still wanted to go out, so when he heard those words, he immediately spoke up in a tone of inquiry, I hope Senior Apprentice Sister Carol can give me some pointers. Carol continued, as the name suggests, the land of broken laws is a place that has lost its laws. The laws here have disappeared in a very strange manner. Moreover, the laws governing survival between heaven and earth always dissipate inadvertently. Most of the time, the place you went to might just make you unable to extend your divine sense and drive your divine essence. But sometimes, you would be bound by the irregular space that suddenly descended. Once you were bound by this kind of unruly space, let alone spiritual consciousness and spirit essence, even moving would be difficult for you. At this time, if you were trapped in the quagmire would drown you. If you were trapped in a lawless whirlpool, the whirlpool would slowly peel away your flesh and soul. Don't say that you wouldn't choose a dangerous place to walk. Even if you were standing on solid ground, the ground you were standing on would quickly turn into a whirlpool or a swamp quagmire. Ning Cheng suddenly recalled that he had been trapped by the sudden descent of the swamp, and then his divine sense and divine essence had disappeared. He somewhat understood what Carol meant. At that time, Man Huishan had also been trapped, but Man Huishan could still stretch out a part of his divine sense. Most likely, it was because his cultivation was higher than his. According to Carol, these abruptly appearing binding forces varied in strength. Once Man Huishan was bound by a more powerful lawless space, perhaps he would have no choice but to wait for death. I once met some strange people inside. They said that they were from the Hope clan. Are these people not bound by the land of broken laws? Ning Cheng asked carefully. He didn't know if the people who snatched the bestowing lawless fruit were from the Valley of Peace. After hearing Ning Cheng's words, Carol's tone turned solemn. The Hope clan is a unique existence in the land of broken laws. They are very vigilant, and the Valley of Peace, and they mind their own business. I heard that even Dao fusion powerhouses can only dissipate under the power of hope if they go to the land of hope. So, if you see people from the Hope clan in the future, don't talk to them. When Carol said this, Ning Cheng's heart became very clear. The cultivators who attacked the Hope clan didn't come from the Valley of Peace. From the looks of it, there was another gathering place for cultivators in the land of broken laws. At this time, Carol had already brought Ning Cheng and Man Huishan to the place where they could enter the valley. There was only a white-haired old man here. Although the laws here were broken, and one couldn't see his cultivation at all, Ning Cheng could still feel the power of this white-haired old man. Every move of this old man carried a kind of integrated aura. This reminded Ning Cheng of Holy Emperor Extreme Void. Holy Emperor Extreme Void also gave Ning Cheng this kind of feeling. The white-haired old man lowered his head and sat motionless. He seemed to be resting with his eyes closed, as if he was thinking about something difficult to solve. Beside the old man, there was a black cat lying lazily. Behind the old man was a quaint altar, which exuded bursts of soul aura that made people feel a little nervous. Senior Ran, these two have just arrived today and want to go through the formalities to enter the valley. Carol carefully bowed to the white-haired old man and spoke in a soft tone. The white-haired old man slowly raised his head and glanced at Ning Cheng and Man Huishan before speaking with a calm tone. Say your names and pay 10 million high-rank spirit crystals each. Your Senior Ran. Man Huishan exclaimed. Apparently he recognized this white-haired old man. The white-haired old man clearly understood Man Huishan's meaning. Man Huishan must have recognized his identity outside, which made him look surprised. The old man didn't feel surprised. After all, there were many people here who knew him. Therefore, he still spoke with a calm tone. Everyone knows that I'm Senior Ran. Seeing that the white-haired old man didn't have any intention of speaking, Man Huishan also didn't say anything. Ning Cheng took out a storage bag containing 10 million spirit crystals and handed it over before speaking with a respectful tone. Junior Ning Cheng, here are 10 million spirit crystals. Man Huishan could only report his name and pay 10 million spirit crystals, just like Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng, do you have any enmity with the people in the valley? If not, you can go out now. If you do, you have to say it. The white-haired old man put away the spirit crystals paid by the two and asked unhurriedly. Ning Cheng didn't hide it and said, I have a grudge with Man Huishan. He chased me into the Valley of Peace. The old man pointed to the altar and spoke with a calm tone. Go to the altar and make an oath with your essence spirit. I, Ning Cheng, swear on my essence spirit that I will not deal with Man Huishan in any way or under any pretext within 1,000 years. If I violate this oath, my soul will immediately perish. Ning Cheng froze. He was just an eternal cultivator. Was he crazy to deal with Man Huishan? He had to be wary of Man Huishan. Senior, it was Man Huishan who chased me, not me who chased Man Huishan. Ning Cheng spoke up helplessly. The white-haired old man didn't even bother to answer Ning Cheng this time. He just closed his eyes and said nothing. Ning Cheng had no choice but to stand in front of the altar and repeat the old man's words. Although this oath looked powerful, it didn't have any effect on him. What was Man Huishan's cultivation? Could he be Man Huishan's opponent within 1,000 years? He would be lucky if Man Huishan didn't come looking for him. After Ning Cheng made the oath, the old man asked Man Huishan, Do you have any enmity with the people in the valley? If not, you can go out now. If you do, you have to say it. Man Huishan cursed in his heart. Isn't this nonsense? If there was no enmity, would I chase Ningqing all the way here? In the face of such a powerhouse, Man Huishan didn't dare to lie with his eyes wide open. He could only speak honestly. I chased Ningqing and have some enmity with Ningqing. The old man also pointed to the altar. Go to the altar and make an oath with your essence spirit. The oath is as follows. I, Man Huishan, swear on my essence spirit that I will not deal with Ningqing in any way or under any pretext within 1,000 years. If I violate this oath, my soul will immediately perish. Ningqing felt refreshed when he heard this. This oath was good for him. Man Huishan came here to kill him. As long as he made this oath, within 1,000 years, even if Man Huishan had 10,000 guts, Man Huishan wouldn't dare to deal with him. This altar definitely wasn't ordinary. Even Man Huishan wouldn't dare to violate an oath with his essence spirit in front of this altar. Man Huishan opened his mouth but couldn't say a word for a long time. He naturally knew that as long as he made the oath, he wouldn't be able to deal with Ningqing within 1,000 years. Even if the two of them stood outside the Valley of Peace, he, Man Huishan, wouldn't dare to deal with Ningqing. How could he be willing to accept this? Senior Ran, can I not live in the valley anymore? Man Huishan felt some regret in his heart. He shouldn't have thought of living here. The white-haired old man nodded. Yes, the spirit crystals won't be refunded. After you make the oath, you can leave the Valley of Peace. Did he have to make an oath to not live in the valley? Man Huishan was a dragon emperor. Therefore, he looked at the altar with some grievances and then looked at Ningqing, who was gloating in the distance. He could only helplessly walk to the altar and bow before making an oath. I, Man Huishan, swear on my essence spirit that I will not deal with Ningqing in any way or under any pretext within 1,000 years. If I violate this oath, my soul will immediately perish. Carol, who stood in the distance, saw the two finish their oaths and immediately came up to Ningqing and said, Junior apprentice brother Ningqing, 3 days from now, during the Valley Master's Dao discussion, if you have extra spirit crystals, I suggest you get another Dao listening token. At that time, you will definitely get more than you can imagine. Ningqing called her senior apprentice sister, and she unconsciously regarded Ningqing as her junior apprentice brother. Most of the cultivators here were busy with their own things, and few people came to chat with her for half a day. Although she tried to persuade Ningqing, Carol's face showed some yearning and envy. From this, one could tell that she also wanted to listen to this Dao discussion. Chapter 925. Ningqing would have to be a fool not to go to a Dao discussion between Dao fusion powerhouses. He didn't need Carol to repeat herself and spoke up eagerly, I naturally want to go and take a look at this Dao discussion. I wonder how many spirit crystals it would cost to apply for a Dao listening card? Ningqing was worried about the spirit crystals. He still had about 17 million spirit crystals on him. In the land of broken laws, the more spirit crystals he used, the less he would need. A Dao listening card costs 1 million spirit crystals. If you apply for a Dao listening card worth 5 million spirit crystals, you can listen to the Dao 5 times. Carol quickly replied. So cheap? Ningqing froze. If it were in the Grand Essence domain, wouldn't it cost hundreds of millions of spirit crystals to listen to a Dao discussion between Dao fusion powerhouses? But here, one could listen to the Dao for 1 million spirit crystals? Seeing Ningqing in a daze, Carol thought that Ningqing thought the price was too high and quickly explained, Junior apprentice brother Ningqing, this price is already very low. The Valley Master and some of the seniors were not here to earn God crystals, but to spread their knowledge through the sparring session. Only by paying spirit crystals to listen to the Dao would one cherish it. I've been there a few times before and benefited a lot from it. Ningqing understood and asked, Senior apprentice Sister Carol, are you coming with us in 3 days? Carol shook her head sadly, I'm not going. I've already used up my Dao listening card. Ningqing nodded. In the land of broken laws, there was no place to earn spirit crystals. If he ran out of spirit crystals, he could only sit around and wait for death like Carol. Because there was no way out of this place, Senior Ran, please help me apply for 2 Dao listening cards worth 3 million spirit crystals. Ning Qing didn't hesitate to take out another 6 million spirit crystals. The white-haired old man put away Ning Cheng's spirit crystals and raised his hand to throw out 2 black cards, each with 3 silver lights on it. The 3 silver lights had some faint fluctuations, which Ning Cheng understood that they should be able to listen to the Dao 3 times. Ning Cheng handed one of the Dao listening cards to Carol. Senior apprentice Sister Carol, this is for you. Thank you for helping me so much. Ning Cheng didn't care about 3 million spirit crystals at all. Now that Man Huishan swore not to find trouble with him, he could even leave the valley immediately. He had a way out, so he wouldn't be trapped in the Valley of Peace like Carol. Carol did not expect that Ning Cheng would give her a Dao listening token that could allow her to listen to the Dao thrice. Although she wanted to accept it, she knew that this thing was just too precious. Junior apprentice brother Ning Cheng, I cannot accept this thing. You've just entered the valley, so you don't know how precious deity crystals are. When you stay here for a few thousand years, you will come to know how precious spirit crystals are. Carol pushed the Dao listening card back to Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng once again put the Dao listening card into Carol's hands and spoke with a smile. Today we have wine to drink, today we get drunk, tomorrow we worry about it, tomorrow we worry about it. Don't think too much about the future. The white-haired old man, who had not expressed any emotion until now, suddenly looked up and stared at Ning Cheng as he muttered, Today there is wine, today we are drunk, tomorrow we will worry, tomorrow we will worry. Good Dao intent, follow your heart and follow your nature, without any trace of carving. Ning Cheng was a bit speechless. He had just casually borrowed a Chinese poem. What did it have to do with Dao intent? Although he said that it had nothing to do with Dao intent, the white-haired old man was still immersed in Ning Cheng's casual words. Even Man Huishan, who wanted to apply for a Dao listening card like Ning Cheng, didn't hear it. Hearing Ning Cheng's casual words, Carol's eyes lit up, and she no longer pushed Ning Cheng's Dao listening card. A cultivator with the Dao intent of, today we have wine to drink, today we get drunk, tomorrow we will worry about it, would never care about these 3 million spirit crystals. Thanks to giving Carol a Dao listening card, Carol helped Ning Cheng find the best place to live without spending spirit crystals. Although it didn't contain any spirit chi, it was spacious. After returning to his residence, Ning Cheng immediately began to heal. Man Huishan's injuries weren't light, and since he had to attend the Dao listening conference in 3 days, he had to be in his best condition. Without the threat of Man Huishan, Ning Cheng felt much more relaxed. In just 2 days, he had fully recovered from his injuries. After all, it wasn't burning his lifespan, nor was it an injury to his foundation. 3 days later, Carol took the initiative to come over. She came to invite Ning Cheng to listen to the Valley Master's Dao discussion. When Ning Cheng and Carol arrived at the Dao discussion venue, it was already filled with cultivators. It had been a few days since he entered the Valley of Peace, but Ning Cheng didn't know how many people there were in the Valley of Peace. But now that he came here, he realized that there were many people in the Valley of Peace. There were hundreds of people listening to the Dao listening conference. As for those who didn't have spirit crystals to listen to the Dao listening conference, Ning Cheng didn't know how many of them there were. The place where the Dao listening conference took place was just a flat-topped mountain with no barriers around it. Apart from a flat ground and grayish-black soil and stones, there was nothing else. Carol motioned Ning Cheng not to speak casually and sat down. Ning Cheng didn't know anyone here, so he naturally wouldn't speak casually. He also saw Man Huishan, who had a solemn expression on his face and was sitting in the front row. From the looks of it, this fellow also cared a lot about the Dao discussion conference between Dao fusion powerhouses. After another incense stick worth of time, a tall man in a gray robe landed on a huge flat stone in front of the Dao discussion venue. Ning Cheng couldn't tell the man's age, but the tall man had a very broad forehead and looked very intelligent. This is Valley Master Saiku. Everyone in the Valley of Peace can't forget the Valley Master's great kindness. Carol whispered in Ning Cheng's ear. After Valley Master Saiku sat down, a few more figures landed not far from the tall man and sat down. Ning Cheng couldn't sense any aura from these people, which showed that they were all powerful fellows. Psyche Yuan waited for everyone to sit down before speaking up. This is my last Tao discussion. After this Tao discussion, I will go into seclusion to participate in the Tao discussion. In the Valley of Peace, there are many fellow Taoists like me who deliberately came here to comprehend lawless spirit techniques and law-suppressing spirit techniques. Just listening to the beginning, Ning Cheng felt an impulse in his heart that he couldn't describe. He finally understood why some people deliberately came to the land of broken laws. He didn't understand it before because his realm wasn't high enough. But now, after listening to the Valley Master's words, he understood everything. The land of broken laws had no laws. If one could comprehend the existence and disappearance of laws, one could display spirit techniques that weren't affected by the laws of heaven and earth. Or, when fighting against an opponent, one could directly cause the opponent to fall into a lawless space. At the same time, one could still stimulate one's law-related spirit techniques. This way, one could naturally stand in an invincible position. These powerhouses who came to the land of broken laws came here to comprehend this spirit technique and control the laws of heaven and earth. Even Valley Master Psyche Yuan had the same idea. What they wanted to do was to suppress the laws of space like the Hope Tribe, making it impossible for the opponent to use law-related spirit techniques. Sure enough, Valley Master Psyche continued, because we are under the laws of heaven and earth, we can derive our own law-related spirit techniques under these laws. In the land of broken laws, the laws are broken, and there are even no laws. We can't use our own laws. Many years ago, I kept thinking that if I could display lawless spirit techniques in a place without laws, would this spirit technique not be restricted by laws in a place with laws? Or, if I were to restrict the laws of heaven and earth in a place with laws, wouldn't I become the heavenly Tao and the opponent become an ant under the heavenly Tao? Next, I will talk about my understanding of the Tao of laws. In just 10 minutes, Ning Cheng was already intoxicated by what he heard. Valley Master Psyche spoke from simple to deep, making it clear and easy to understand. Ning Cheng completely understood what he meant, controlling the laws of heaven and earth, and even condensing the laws of heaven and earth himself. His strength was low now, but it didn't mean that it would be low in the future. Although he couldn't do it now, he might be able to do it in the future. Valley Master Psyche had arranged some law-related worlds in the valley to guide him. For example, the short-distance teleportation array he had set up before to teleport to the Hope Tribe had also simulated a part of the laws of space. However, even after understanding this principle, it was still very, very difficult to achieve. Originally, Ning Cheng wanted to leave the Valley of Peace after listening to a few Tao discussions. But now, he just wanted to stay here for a while and thoroughly deduce the lawless spirit technique. Born from chaos, there are laws first, and then heaven and earth. Lonely and lonely, independent and unchanging, circular and unperturbed, it can be called the mother of the world. Where the broken laws are, there are no laws, but there are forms in all things. I believe that lawlessness is also one of the universes. How can one know the well-being of a fish if one isn't a fish? Mortals holding their breath at the bottom of the water is the same as the land of broken laws. What he meant was that laws had existed since the beginning of the universe's primordial chaos. Only when there were laws could heaven and earth form, and only then could other things form. Rules are such things as we cannot hear them, nor can we see them. Silent and empty, it doesn't rely on any external force to exist, and it never stops. Because it never stops, it can be the root of all things. The land of broken laws has no laws, but there are all things, and all things have forms. Therefore, I believe that the absence of laws is also a kind of law of the universe. It's like we're not fish, but we don't know that fish feel very comfortable in the water. The feeling of a mortal underwater without air is just as uncomfortable as starry sky cultivators like us in the land of broken laws. The more Ning Cheng listened, the clearer it became in his heart. The bottom of the water was the land of broken laws for mortals. And the reason why fish could swim freely at the bottom of the water was because they controlled that law, or at least integrated into that law. The land of broken laws had no laws, but it was also a kind of heaven and earth law. It's just that it wasn't a common law. If a cultivator could comprehend this kind of law, Even in the land of broken laws, their strength would be the same as in the outside world with laws. Ning Cheng clenched his fists. If he could really control the heaven and earth laws of the land of broken laws as Valley Master Saiku said, then even if Man Huishan chased after him, he could easily kill a Tao essence expert with the strength of an eternal cultivator. Thinking of comprehending the lawless spirit technique of the land of broken laws, Ning Cheng immediately thought of the bestowing lawless fruit. It was a Tao fruit that absorbed the laws of heaven and earth but became lawless. What would happen if he used this Tao fruit to comprehend the lawless spirit technique? Ning Cheng had just thought of this when he heard Valley Master Saiku continue, I heard that there is a Tao fruit in heaven and earth called the bestowing lawless fruit. It absorbs the laws of heaven and earth, but doesn't contain any laws. If you can obtain this fruit, you might be able to get twice the results with half the effort. Chapter 9:26. The bestowing lawless inheritance truly had great benefits in comprehending the lawless spirit technique, which made Ning Cheng feel even more delighted. Valley Master Saiku was a Tao fusion powerhouse, so how much knowledge did a Tao fusion powerhouse have? Ning Cheng believed that Valley Master Saiku wasn't talking nonsense. What's more, how many years had Valley Master Saiku stayed here? From his tone, Ning Cheng could tell that Valley Master Saiku came to the land of broken laws to comprehend the laws here. Perhaps the Valley Master also knew the way out, but he was only staying here to cultivate. 10 days passed by quickly. For a Tao fusion holy emperor, 10 days of Tao discussion was a very short time. But Ning Cheng gained a lot in these 10 days. Not only did he gain a new understanding of the land of broken laws, but he also gained a preliminary concept of lawless spirit techniques. He also gained a new understanding of the Tao and a more direct understanding of some of the doubts he had in his cultivation. These 10 days were equivalent to 100 years of cultivation for Ning Cheng, which made Ning Cheng sigh in his heart. Sure enough, one had to learn from other people's experiences in order to get rid of the weeds and retain the gold. Perhaps it was gold to others, but it was barren to oneself. How far a cultivator could go depended on how much they could find that was suitable for them, and then comprehend what belonged to them. On the 10th day, Valley Master Saiku suddenly stopped talking, causing all the cultivators immersed in Valley Master Saiku's Tao discussion to wake up. Valley Master's Tao has benefited me a lot. Many thanks for the Tao discussion, Valley Master. A female cultivator sitting in front of him stood up with excitement and bowed to Valley Master Saiku. Valley Master Saiku shook his head, You don't understand. I didn't discuss my Tao, but my epiphany of the law Tao in the land of broken laws. Another person suddenly stood up, I understood the Tao, I understood the Tao. It was a gray-haired old man. After standing up and shouting a few times, he pointed to the void and spoke in a clear voice, I want to sculpt my Tao with the laws I comprehended, to respect the might of heaven and earth, and to sincerely uphold the grace of the Tao. As the gray-haired old man spoke, Ning Cheng could clearly feel the change in his temperament. Apparently, his strength had become much stronger than before. Although his strength couldn't be reflected in the land of broken laws, once he left the land of broken laws, his Tao sculpting might would definitely manifest. No one said anything. Although it was rare for someone to sculpt their Tao in the Valley of Peace, it was not the first time. Tao sculpting was only related to enlightenment, and it was also related to the strength of God's spiritual chi. However, it was not necessary. 2 hours later, the gray-robed old man's aura changed dramatically. He bowed to Valley Master Saiku to express his gratitude. Valley Master Saiku nodded and spoke in a calm tone. Tao sculpting requires the laws of heaven and earth to fuse with one's own spirit technique laws. Since you can sculpt your Tao in the land of broken laws, your future achievements will definitely surpass the average person. The gray-robed old man expressed his gratitude once more before bowing and retreating. Valley Master Saiku said in a clear voice, If there's nothing else, please leave. If you have any questions, please ask. Carol pulled Ning Cheng and spoke, Junior apprentice brother Ning Cheng, let's go. Ning Cheng quickly spoke up, I still have a lot of questions to ask, how can I just leave? Carol whispered, Asking questions requires God crystals. 1 million God crystals for the first question, 2 million God crystals for the second question, and so on. Ning Cheng stared blankly at the Valley Master sitting high above and couldn't help but think that he really knew how to earn spirit crystals. However, Ning Cheng didn't have any resistance. After all, knowledge was wealth. Valley Master Saiku answered questions in exchange for spirit crystals, which was quite normal. If it were him, he would have also accepted spirit crystals to answer questions. Senior Apprentice Sister Carol, you can leave first. I still have some spirit crystals, and I need to ask a few questions later. Ning Cheng naturally wouldn't let go of such an opportunity. Outside, no matter how many spirit crystals one had, one couldn't ask a Dao fusion powerhouse to answer one's questions. After learning that Man Huishan couldn't find trouble with him for 1,000 years, Ning Cheng had long since wanted to leave the Valley of Peace. Now that he knew about the effects of the bestowing lawless fruit, he wanted to find a place to comprehend this lawless spirit technique. As for staying in the valley to comprehend this spirit technique, he decided against it. It wasn't that Ning Cheng didn't trust others, but the value of the bestowing lawless fruit was just too high. Who could guarantee that others wouldn't covet it when he took out the bestowing lawless fruit? There weren't many cultivators who stayed here to ask questions. Apparently, none of them were very rich. Man Huishan, the old man, didn't stand on ceremony and directly took out a storage ring. Ning Cheng didn't know how many questions this fellow asked, but Ning Cheng waited for him for nearly half a day before this fellow left with satisfaction. After Man Huishan left, Ning Cheng stepped forward and took out a storage ring before putting it in front of Valley Master Saiku. He then cupped his fists and said, "Senior, this junior has a few questions." Seeing Valley Master Saiku smile, Ning Cheng spoke up. "This junior has just reached the full circle of the eternal realm and has just started to transform my spirit essence. I want to sculpt my Dao now. It's just that this junior has always been a rogue cultivator without any guidance from a master. As such, this junior doesn't know much about the path to Dao confirming. I hope senior can give me some pointers." Valley Master Saiku nodded. "When you arrived, I saw that your spirit essence transformation was perfect. Your spirit essence is surging and far stronger than ordinary eternal cultivators. Your future is limitless. I always thought that you came from a big sect, but I didn't expect you to be just a rogue cultivator. Impressive." Valley Master Saiku's words made Ning Cheng understand that this Valley Master didn't want to earn spirit crystals by answering questions. Instead, it was a kind of universal love. Whether it was Valley Master Saiku's Dao discussion or Valley Master Saiku taking the initiative to answer questions and collect spirit crystals, it all spoke volumes. A cultivator who wanted to earn spirit crystals would never talk so much nonsense with him. Sure enough, after Valley Master Saiku finished speaking, his tone turned solemn. "Your spirit techniques are a mess, and you use too much of the power of pills. You have lost the balance between the primary and secondary. If you can't resolve it, your future achievements will be greatly limited." Ning Cheng sweated profusely in his heart. He knew that he had indeed used a lot of medicinal pills. Because he didn't feel any side effects, he didn't care about it. But now that Valley Master Saiku spoke about it, he realized that he had made a mistake. As for his spirit techniques, he really didn't know where they came from. Valley Master Saiku sighed. "I've never seen an eternal cultivator as talented as you. I can't believe your age. Maybe you have your own secrets." Hearing this, Ning Cheng felt shocked. He didn't expect that Valley Master Saiku could see through his skeletal age because there were no laws here. Moreover, his biggest secret was the mysterious yellow bead. He couldn't let the other party see through it. Fortunately, Valley Master Saiku didn't continue to talk about secrets. Instead, he changed the topic. "Your comprehension ability is amazing. I can see that most of your spirit techniques came from your own comprehension. With your comprehension ability, you don't need to rely on too much power from pills. The power of pills might help you speed up for a while, but if you can't find a way to contain pill toxins, it would all be in vain." When Ning Cheng heard Valley Master Saiku's words, he made up his mind to go back and look for the antidote pill recipe. He could use other medicinal pills sparingly, but he had to take the Empyrean Consciousness Transmutation pill constantly. A strong sea of consciousness was the foundation. There are thousands of Daos, and Dao sculpting is the first step to Dao confirming. This step is crucial. Once you sort out your spirit techniques and remove the limitations of your achievements, you can easily sculpt your Tao. Valley Master Saiku paused for a moment. He looked at Ning Qing carefully before asking, "What do you think about the person who just reached Tao confirming?" Ning Qing replied honestly, "After that senior reached Tao sculpting, his temperament changed drastically, and his strength improved by several levels. Coupled with the fact that he reached Tao confirming in the land of broken laws, he should be quite powerful." Valley Master Saiku shook his head. What he sculpted is a minor Tao, and his future achievements would be limited. The only thing that makes him stronger than others is that he succeeded in sculpting his Tao in the land of broken laws. Taos have big and small? This was the first time Ning Qing heard such a statement, and it made him feel even more shocked. But at the same time, he secretly rejoiced at the fact that he met Valley Master Saiku. Otherwise, if he reached minor Tao one day, it would truly be too late to regret it. Cultivators walk against the heavens, and his Tao is under the control of heaven and earth. I'm afraid that he would never be able to take the second step in his life. Valley Master Saiku replied seriously. Ning Qing immediately recalled the Tao sculpting oath that the gray-haired old man had taken when he sculpted his Tao. "I want to sculpt my Tao with the laws I understand, to respect the might of heaven and earth, and to sincerely uphold the grace of the Tao." Sure enough, under heaven and earth, there was only fear and panic. If Valley Master Saiku hadn't mentioned it, he wouldn't have understood it. But as soon as Valley Master Saiku spoke, he immediately understood it. "Valley Master, what is the Great Tao, and what is the Minor Tao?" Ning Cheng's tone turned even more respectful. Valley Master Saiku sighed. "Back then, my master told me that the Tao doesn't matter how big or small it is. For millions of years, I've been lingering in the primordial chaos realm and couldn't reach Tao unification. Only then did I realize that everything in heaven and earth has its own size. What is the Great Tao? I can only sense it in the dark, but I can't tell you clearly. The Great Tao lies in yourself, and the Great Tao lies in your Tao intent. But I want to tell you that to prove your Tao purely with the help of external objects, without your own foundation, and forever under the heavenly Tao, is a minor Tao." Ning Cheng's heart shook when he heard this. The Great Tao was a Tao that transcended the heavenly Tao. How could one prove it? Did that mean that any method to sculpt one's Tao with a Tao fruit was a minor Tao? Previously, when he decided to use the bestowing lawless fruit to comprehend the lawless spirit technique, he still hesitated. After all, it was a treasure that could help people sculpt their Tao. But now, he no longer hesitated. He decided not to use the Tao fruit to sculpt his Tao. Proving the Great Tao requires great perseverance, great wisdom, great courage, and great opportunities. None of these are dispensable. If you don't have these, a minor Tao is also a Tao. Well, I'll stop talking to you here. As for your Tao, you need to comprehend it yourself. After Valley Master Saiku finished this sentence, his figure turned illusory and soon disappeared. Ning Qing wanted to ask about the third step Tao confirming realm, but he didn't expect Valley Master Saiku to just leave like that. However, the questions he asked just now added up to more than 3. Moreover, the spirit crystals he left in the ring only amounted to 6 million. With a clear direction, Ning Qing also gained a clearer understanding of Tao sculpting. He decided to leave the Valley of Peace and find a place to comprehend the lawless spirit technique before going out to look for an opportunity to sculpt his Tao. Chapter 927. 2 days later, Ning Qing found Carol. Carol was just about to go into seclusion when she did not expect Ning Qing to come looking for her. She happily welcomed Ning Qing into her immortal cave and hurriedly asked, "Junior apprentice brother Ning Qing, did Valley Master Saiku solve your problem?" Ning Qing spoke up, "Valley Master Saiku has a broad mind, and I have benefited a lot from it. I'm here to tell senior sister that I plan to leave the Valley of Peace and find a way out. You mustn't do that. Many of the people who entered the Valley of Peace are much stronger than us. But in order to find a way out, 8 or 9 out of 10 of them died in the land of broken laws." Carol hurriedly tried to persuade Ning Qing on hearing that he wanted to go out. She guessed that Ning Qing also wanted to invite her to accompany him, As such, she definitely could not go out. Ning Cheng showed a smile. Senior apprentice Sister Carol, you don't have to worry about it. I have a 60% chance of getting out of this place. That's because I obtained a jade strip with a map to get out of this place. I just intend to go out by myself. This time, Carol once again interrupted Ning Cheng's words. Junior apprentice brother Ning Cheng, map jade strips have appeared more than once in the Valley of Peace. But none of them were the real map jade strips. Most of them had a strong start but a weak end, just to swindle spirit crystals. My Dao companion is still in seclusion in the valley, so I can't go with you. Actually, I also advise you not to leave in the end. The chances of getting out are too slim. In fact, Ning Cheng didn't come here to ask Carol to come with him. He wanted to find a place in the land of broken laws to go into seclusion and comprehend the lawless spirit technique. Therefore, he naturally didn't want to go with Carol. It was just that he didn't expect Carol to have a Dao companion. But then again, in a place like the Valley of Peace, if one didn't have a Dao companion, then life would indeed be extremely boring. Ning Cheng took out a jade strip and a token and handed it to Carol. Senior apprentice Sister Carol, this jade strip map should be very reliable. If you and your Dao companion want to go out in the future, you can use this jade strip map. I have to go now. Goodbye. Seeing Ning Cheng insist on leaving, Carol could not persuade him and could only send him to the entrance of the Valley of Peace. Ning Cheng not only left her a jade strip with a map, but also gave her the unused Dao listening card. This was the 9th day since Ning Cheng left the Valley of Peace. Ning Cheng once again found the direction indicated on the jade strip map, which made him feel much more confident in his heart. As long as he followed this map, one day he would be able to get out of this place. What made Ning Cheng feel even more relieved was that Man Huishan didn't chase after him. It seemed that the barbarian also knew that he couldn't do anything to him even if he chased after him. Instead of that, it was better to stay in the Valley of Peace to comprehend the lawless spirit technique. After finding the right direction, Ning Cheng did not continue on his way. Instead, he dug out a cave in a valley and prepared to comprehend the lawless spirit technique. Carol had said that in the land of broken laws, if one wasn't careful, one would end up bound by the sudden arrival of the lawless land. Ning Cheng was not very worried about this. He believed that with his current spiritual consciousness, he would be able to escape in the face of danger. Even if he could not escape, he had the mysterious yellow bead to retreat. After digging the cave, Ning Cheng did not arrange any defensive formations. Instead, he called out Chasing Bull and asked it to stand guard outside the cave. In a lawless land, without the support of his own laws, even if he set up an array formation, it would be of limited use. Chasing Bull didn't like to stay in the true spirit world. Instead, it preferred to stay outside because it liked lively places. Moreover, this land of broken laws didn't have any liveliness to speak of, so it didn't want to stay outside at all. However, after Ning Cheng went into seclusion, there was no movement from him. Therefore, it could only stay outside and wait for Ning Cheng to wake up. At most, it could show off a few words in front of Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng didn't expect that he could comprehend the lawless spirit technique without using the bestowing lawless fruit. Although he cultivated the mysterious yellow formless and had a far better comprehension ability than the average person, he didn't think that he was better than an expert like Valley Master Saiku. The bestowing lawless fruit was a very light gray in color. The land of broken laws itself was gray in color. Therefore, the bestowing lawless fruit didn't stand out in the land of broken laws. Instead, the faint ripples on the fruit gave off bursts of mysterious Dao charm aura. Ning Cheng couldn't feel any law information from the Dao charm aura, but he could feel that after the Dao charm aura spread out, it instantly formed a new kind of law around him. This new law seemed to be similar to the ordinary laws of heaven and earth, but it also seemed completely different. The bestowing lawless fruit itself didn't contain any law aura, but it could produce a faint law aura around it. Even in the land of broken laws, one couldn't use any time spirit techniques. However, it still couldn't stop the flow of time. As time passed, the bestowing lawless fruit in Ning Cheng's hand gradually shrank. But Ning Cheng remained immersed in it and didn't feel anything at all. A month later, even Chasing Bull, who stood guard outside the cave, could feel the fluctuations of the spatial laws. Yet, Ning Cheng still hadn't woken up. Seeing the fluctuations of the laws in the surrounding space, Chasing Bull naturally felt happy. It was just about to take out some permanent essence pills to try cultivating when a sudden explosion erupted from the place where Ning Cheng had gone into seclusion. Ning Cheng abruptly opened his eyes at this moment. He raised his hand and punched out. The weak laws that had just formed around him dissipated without a trace. Boom! Ning Cheng's temporary cave shattered into pieces under his punch. "Master, did you learn the lawless spirit technique?" Chasing Bull quickly came over and asked. Ning Cheng looked at the half-sized bestowing lawless fruit in his hand and said with a sigh, "I made a mistake and wasted half of the fruit. The bestowing lawless fruit isn't meant to be used in the land of broken laws, but in places with laws. I always thought that if one wanted to cultivate the lawless spirit technique, it would have to be in the land of broken laws." That's not right." Ning Cheng hadn't finished speaking when he suddenly realized something. His cultivation and strength were still too low, and what he wanted to comprehend was completely different from Valley Master Saiku. Valley Master Saiku wanted to find a new law in the land of broken laws and then condense it into this law. For countless years, Valley Master Saiku had been doing this and had achieved some results. However, he didn't need to do this at all, nor did he have the qualifications to do so. He just needed to comprehend the lawless spirit technique. When fighting with the other party, he could make the other party's lawless spirit technique lose its laws, while his lawless spirit technique could continue. This was countless times simpler than Valley Master Saiku. In fact, after more than a month of seclusion, he had already achieved some results. Previously, when he punched out, he had completely dissipated the aura of laws generated by the bestowing lawless fruit. Only his fist remained. Didn't this mean that he had touched the door? "Let's go, Chasing Bull. We can go out now." Ning Cheng laughed and put the remaining half of the bestowing lawless fruit into the jade box. He then waved it out of the starry sky battleship. In an ordinary cave mansion in the outer disciple residential area of the Nine Revolutions sacred Dao Pond, Yanji sat on a praying mat with a pale face. Her hands also trembled slightly. Just now, she had failed to break through to the middle stage life and death realm again. Her meridians felt as if they had split open, and she felt as if her entire body would collapse in the next moment. 2 lines of tears rolled down her white face. Since she started cultivating, she had experienced too many hardships and dangers, but she had never shed a tear before. But at this moment, she burst into tears. She understood her situation. Her cultivation career had come to an end. Even if she didn't cultivate, her foundation would gradually be destroyed, and her Zifu would gradually wither. She would slowly grow old in despair and eventually fall. "No!" Yanji cried out in a trembling voice. She couldn't accept it. She knew best what she had experienced since the beginning. She could even feel her sea of consciousness trembling. She looked at the shabby cave mansion helplessly. She truly couldn't accept it. She couldn't accept it, not because she regretted what she had done, but because she couldn't accept it, even after knowing Ning Cheng's whereabouts, she couldn't do anything about it. Her face grew paler and paler, and cold sweat oozed out of her forehead. At the same time, an illusion seemed to appear in front of her eyes. She once again saw the raging Blood River mountain. She once again saw herself trapped in the Blood River, and Ning Cheng coming to save her. He braved the threat of death to pick her up and rush out of the Blood River. Her face turned an unhealthy shade of red. She saw Ning Cheng getting swept away by the tumbling Blood River. She didn't hesitate to rush over to save Ning Cheng, but she ended up getting swept away by the Blood River. She remembered that at the bottom of the Blood River, there was no spiritual qi, there was no vitality, it was a place where one could easily get lost. When she said that she wanted to find Ning Cheng, her senior apprentice sister Xiang Jilan was shocked. She even thought that she had gone crazy. She was not crazy, she left the bottom of the Blood River where she could survive, and went to find Ning Cheng alone. But at that time, she didn't even know what Ning Cheng really looked like. Yanji's mouth unconsciously revealed a smile. In a person's life, they would always do 1 or 2 crazy things. Until now, she still felt that it was the right choice for her. Later, she came to know that it was like liking a person. Liking a person, it was really simple and really happy. She could never forget that at the bottom of the blood river, she saw that ragged robe, his body was staggering, and he was also followed by a pitiful puppy-looking man with dry fur. At that time, she thought that he had lost his way. Later, he let her and her senior apprentice sister Xiang Jilan walk out of the bottom of the blood river. When they left the bottom of the blood river, she came to know that Ning Qing did not come out together with them. She did not hesitate to rush up the blood river mountains and let the blood river roll her down. She once again rushed into the blood river mountains, not to seek death, but with only one thought, and that was to find Ning Qing. She did not want Ning Qing to stay alone under the blood river after saving her. From the beginning to the end, she did not regret this matter. But Ning Qing really did not let her regret it. After he saw her again at the bottom of the blood river, he carried her on his back and tried to find a way to heal her. He dressed and bathed her. He had done too much for her. Even if she lost her mind, he still took care of her very carefully. She felt that no matter what she did for him, it was only right. Yanji's mouth slowly blossomed into a smile. When he saw her body, she did not have any consciousness, but it was the most beautiful memory that she had enjoyed for many years. If she could go back in time, she would definitely say, "I want to marry you." It was not because she was too shy to say it, but because she never had the opportunity to say it. Unfortunately, her time could not come back. Her life was about to wither. Chapter 9:28. The restrictions at the entrance of the cave suddenly rang, and Yanji woke up from her memories. She stood up and opened the cave's restrictions. "Junior apprentice sister Yanji, how did you end up like this? You forced yourself to advance again." An anxious yellow-haired girl rushed in and grabbed Yanji's hand. Yanji showed a weak smile. "Senior apprentice sister Shulan, thank you for coming to see me. I don't think I can hold on for long, but I don't regret it. If I didn't work hard, I might still be wandering in the void right now. Maybe I would have already withered into a starry sky demonic beast. Because of my efforts, I even came to places I never thought of before and saw many things I never thought of." Junior apprentice sister Yanji, the path of cultivation is long and boundless. You can't rush it. You have to learn to be lonely and learn to wait. Shu Lan said helplessly. Yanji shook her head. "I'm afraid of loneliness. I'm afraid that I won't be able to wait forever. That's why I want to improve my strength as soon as possible. Sometimes what's yours will always be yours, and what's not yours won't work. If I learned to wait, maybe I would have already lost the pursuit of beauty. I can fail in my pursuit, but I've experienced it. I'm leaving. Senior apprentice sister Shu Lan, take care." Shu Lan spoke up. "Junior apprentice sister Yanji, where else can you go?" Yanji shook her head. "This place doesn't belong to me. I have to go where I should go." She wanted to go to the land of broken laws. She knew very well that even if she was full of energy and her body was in perfect condition, with her cultivation, she probably wouldn't be able to reach the land of broken laws in her lifetime. This was her belief ever since she entered the void. To be precise, since she came out of the law's way, her belief had never changed. Her heart had never changed. Even if she fell, she wanted to fall on her own path. "You can't go anywhere now. You're in a bad condition." A crisp woman's voice came in again, interrupting the conversation between Shu Lan and Yanji. Shu Lan saw the newcomer and quickly bowed. "Shu Lan greets senior apprentice sister Yi Shuang." A tall woman came in. She nodded to the yellow-haired girl before turning to Yanji and said, "Your spiritual root aptitude is first class. Some of the big sects in the Grand Essence domain are transferring spiritual roots. If you're willing to transfer your spiritual root, the sect is willing to do one thing for you." Yanji also knew about the matter of transferring spiritual roots. When a cultivator was on the verge of death, they would transfer their outstanding spiritual roots to someone with average aptitude. It allowed cultivators with average aptitude to possess outstanding aptitude. The precondition was that the dying cultivator had to do it willingly and not be forced. Shu Lan pursed her lips. She was very angry at the sect for doing this. The academy clearly had the ability to restore Yenji's foundation, but they did not want to waste this energy and resources. But now he actually wanted to transfer Yenji's spiritual root. This was just too much. Yenji spoke up with a calm expression on her face. I agree to the transfer of spiritual roots, but I have two requests. If they cannot be achieved, then I would rather die than to transfer it. She naturally knew that the 9 Revolutions Sacred Tao Pond had the ability to help her repair her foundation. It's just that the 9 Revolutions Sacred Tao Pond wasn't willing to use it on her. To put it bluntly, she was just a dispensable person in the 9 Revolutions Sacred Tao Pond. Perhaps, when the 9 Revolutions Sacred Tao Pond accepted her as a disciple, they had already anticipated today's scene. Shi Yishuang nodded. Go ahead. Transferring spirit roots is something that both parties are willing to do. If you don't want to, then just pretend that I didn't say anything. Firstly, my spiritual root will only be transferred to female cultivators. Secondly, I hope that the academy can help me find a female cultivator by the name of Nalan Rushua. At the same time, I would also like to hand over my will and relics to her. Ning Cheng had disguised himself as Ji He and escaped to the land of broken laws. Among the people Ning Cheng knew, only Shi Yishuang knew about this. Shi Yishuang had no hope now. She only hoped that Nalan Rushua could cultivate successfully in the future, find Ning Cheng in the land of broken laws, and help Ning Cheng. Shi Yishuang agreed to Yenji's words without hesitation. When the 9 Revolutions Sacred Tao Pond recruited Yenji, they already had this vague idea. But now that Yenji's 2 requests weren't a big deal, they naturally agreed. Half-Cliff Sacred City. This sacred city wasn't as big as the Heaven Essence Sacred City, but it wasn't small either. Because there were 2 big sects and dozens of small sects near Half-Cliff Sacred City. The 2 big sects were the 9 Revolutions Sacred Tao Pond and the Profound Moon Spirit Gate. This kind of sects surrounded Half-Cliff Sacred City, creating a bustling city. Ning Cheng stood in front of the gate of Half-Cliff Sacred City, feeling refreshed. Looking at the majestic and fairy-like Half-Cliff Sacred City, he felt extremely happy. The moment he walked out of the land of broken laws, the comfortable feeling he felt in his heart was truly indescribable. He felt even more grateful towards Li. Without Li's map, he wouldn't have been able to walk out of the land of broken laws in just half a year. But now, not only did he manage to walk out, but he also had half a bestowing lawless fruit on him. He even had some contact with lawless spirit techniques. He didn't dare to say that he could completely restrict the laws of heaven and earth around him when fighting against his opponent. But he could at least weaken the opponent's law-related spirit techniques within a small range, while strengthening his own law-related spirit techniques. In a battle between powerhouses, sometimes the difference was just a little. Perhaps it was this combination of strength and weakness that could turn the tide of the battle. The reason why Ning Cheng came to Half-Cliff Sacred City was that he didn't want to go to the Heaven Essence Sacred City to see the Star Stepping Tower Master. Although Man Huishan swore that he wouldn't dare to do anything to him, Ning Cheng still carefully changed his appearance. This time, he didn't use Ji He's appearance, nor did he use his original appearance. Instead, he changed his appearance to that bearded rogue cultivator from the Time Wilderness. Half-Cliff Sacred City was close to the 9 Revolutions Sacred Tao Pond and the Profound Moon Spirit Gate. Ning Cheng had 2 other purposes for coming here. One was to see what was going on with Qi Shizingsing. According to Qi Shizingsing's character, even if he wanted to stay in the sect for seclusion, he would have sent someone to Heaven Essence Sacred City to say hello. But in fact, since he arrived in Heaven Essence Sacred City, he hadn't received any news from Qi Shizingsing. The second reason was that he wanted to go to the 9 Revolutions Sacred Tao Pond. In the Grand Essence Mystic Realm, he saw a woman who resembled Shi Qianghua. Even if he knew that it wasn't likely to be Shi Qianghua, he still wanted to take a look. Shi Qianghua was his wife, and Lu Fei said that her younger sister had taken Shi Qianghua away. The 9 Revolutions Sacred Tao Pond most likely belonged to Shi Qianghua's younger sister's sect. Therefore, he wouldn't feel reconciled if he didn't find out. As soon as Ning Cheng entered Half-Cliff Sacred City, he saw a lively and crowded crowd. He felt secretly surprised. He had heard that Heaven Essence Sacred City was the premier sacred city in the Grand Essence domain. But why did Half-Cliff Sacred City look even livelier than Heaven Essence Sacred City? Back when he was in Heaven Essence Sacred City, coupled with the Grand Essence Great Meat, Heaven Essence Sacred City should have more people. Ning Cheng then saw a huge propaganda screen on the street, which clearly stated, "Congratulations on the marriage between the 9 Revolutions Sacred Dao Pond and the 7-Star Sacred Sect. All items in the pill and artifact halls belonging to the 9 Revolutions Sacred Dao Pond and the 7-Star Sacred Sect in Half-Cliff Sacred City will be 20% off for the next 3 days. No wonder so many people came here. Everything would be 20% off for the next 3 days. This would save many cultivators who wanted to buy pills and artifacts a lot of spirit crystals. Although it was only a 20% discount, with so many people flocking here, they would have to pay a huge price." Ning Cheng of the 7-Star Sacred Sect only had Yan Xishuang. He didn't think that Yan Xishuang wanted to marry him. Most of the cultivators in the 9 Revolutions Sacred Dao Pond were women. Therefore, the bride of the marriage should be from the 9 Revolutions Sacred Dao Pond. Thinking of the 9 Revolutions Sacred Dao Pond, Ning Cheng's heart skipped a beat. He suddenly thought of the woman who looked similar to Qianghua. It couldn't be her, right? Ning Cheng suddenly felt a little anxious. He quickly walked into a small rest stop. Ning Cheng had not yet entered when he was stopped by the shop assistant of the rest stop. "This rest stop is already full, please change to another one." Which rest stop wasn't full at this time? Ning Cheng directly took out a handful of spirit crystals and stuffed them into the shop assistant's hand. "I don't want to drink spirit tea. I just want to ask, who are the 2 parties of the marriage between the 9 Revolutions Sacred Dao Pond and the 7-Star Sacred Sect?" Hearing Ning Cheng ask such a simple question, the shop assistant quickly put away the spirit crystals and whispered, "It's the 9 Revolutions Sacred Dao Pond's recently famous Shui Yueka and the 7-Star Sacred Sect's Yin Yongxian. What a perfect match." When Ning Cheng heard that it was Shui Yueka, he couldn't help but feel relieved. Shui Yueka wasn't a stranger to him. This woman had entered the extraterritorial spirit spring and, because of him, occupied the 6th stone door. Ning Cheng also knew that Yin Yongxian. When he heard that this fellow and Shui Yueka had a marriage alliance, Ning Cheng couldn't help but laugh in his heart. He had seen this fellow chasing after Shan Yaotzen before. Ning Cheng didn't know if he couldn't catch up with Shan Yaotzen or if he saw Shui Yueka enter the extraterritorial spirit spring. The shop assistant could see that Ning Cheng didn't lack spirit crystals. Seeing that Ning Cheng was about to leave, he suddenly spoke up in a mysterious tone. "The marriage ceremony will be held at the 9 Revolutions Sacred Dao Pond. If this friend wants to go to the 9 Revolutions Sacred Dao Pond to participate in the marriage ceremony, there is a way." "You said you have a way for me to go to the 9 Revolutions Sacred Dao Pond?" Ning Cheng looked at the shop assistant in surprise. He naturally wanted to go to the 9 Revolutions Sacred Dao Pond, but he knew that it was just a delusion. With his identity and background, he couldn't go to the 9 Revolutions Sacred Dao Pond. The shop assistant showed a smug smile. "I naturally don't have that ability. But I can point you in a direction. Through this place, you can get an invitation." At this point, the shop assistant stopped talking. He believed that Ning Cheng understood what he meant. Ning Cheng naturally understood the shop assistant's meaning. He took out a storage bag and put it in the shop assistant's hand. "Say it and this is yours." The shop assistant's spiritual consciousness swept through the storage bag once, before he put away the storage bag with satisfaction. He then took out a jade strip and mysteriously handed the jade strip to Ning Cheng. "This place has invitations for sale. If you want it, then do it as soon as possible. If you are late, then do not blame me. This is my exclusive secret." Looking at this shop assistant's actions, Ning Cheng understood that this shop assistant had done this kind of shady business many times. Exclusive secret? Ning Cheng didn't bother to expose him. He nodded, grabbed the jade strip, and turned to leave. Chapter 929. The location marked on the jade strip was very remote. Plus, Half-Cliff Sacred City had spiritual consciousness restrictions everywhere. Ning Cheng had to search for a full hour before he found this remote place. This place was located at the corner of a small street, and the low door was slightly ajar, as if afraid that others wouldn't know about this place. Ning Cheng had just flashed in, when a fierce, imposing aura enveloped him. Because he didn't feel any killing intent, Ning Cheng didn't move. Instead, he spoke up in a deep voice, "I want an invitation to the marriage ceremony between the 9 Revolutions Sacred Dao Pond and the 7-Star Sacred Sect. I heard that it's for sale here." The ordinary invitation is gone. There's only a high-grade gold invitation, priced at 100,000 high-grade spirit crystals. A slightly cold voice came over, but Ning Cheng couldn't see the other party's face clearly. Ning Cheng didn't even try to bargain. Instead, he took out a storage bag and threw it over. "This is 100,000 high-grade spirit crystals. Where's the invitation?" He originally wanted a high-grade invitation. If he got an invitation that only allowed him to watch from the outside, he definitely wouldn't be able to see that woman. The man didn't expect Ning Cheng to be so straightforward. He paused for a moment before taking out a golden invitation and handing it to Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness swept through the invitation before he immediately put it away and turned around to leave. "Is there an invitation to the 9 Revolutions Sacred Dao Pond here?" Ning Cheng had just turned around when a slightly magnetic woman's voice came over. This woman was a powerhouse. Ning Cheng's heart tightened. He had seen too many powerhouses in the land of broken laws. Therefore, as soon as this woman appeared, he knew that she was a powerhouse. Even if she wasn't a second-step Dao-confirming expert, she was definitely close to it. Although this woman had a veil over her face, Ning Cheng could still feel a noble and holy aura from her. The man who sold the invitation also seemed to feel the other party's strength and quickly said, "There's only one left, and I just sold it to this friend. I'm sorry, but the invitation is gone now." "Wait." The woman suddenly turned around and called out to Ning Cheng, who was about to step out. Ning Cheng vigilantly stopped, as he cupped his fists and spoke in a manner that was neither overbearing nor servile. "I don't know what advice this friend has for me. Sell your invitation to me. You can name the price." The woman looked at Ning Cheng and spoke in an emotionless and unquestionable tone. Ning Cheng really wanted to say, "Is your ass whiter than other people's faces?" Fortunately, he managed to restrain himself in the end. He estimated that if he dared to say such a thing, he would never be able to enter the 9 Revolutions Sacred Dao Pond again. "Sorry, I don't intend to sell this invitation. I don't lack spirit crystals." Ning Cheng cupped his fists and refused without hesitation. When the woman heard Ning Cheng's refusal, she immediately frowned, and the imposing aura from her body suddenly pressed down, instantly enveloping Ning Cheng. Feeling the other party's incomparably powerful aura, Ning Cheng gave a dark sigh. It was truly depressing when one's strength was low. If his strength was higher, he would have used his aura to suppress the other party. Ning Cheng tried his best to stimulate his spirit essence, but he still could not break free from the other party's shackles. However, because of Ning Cheng's resistance, a powerful spatial fluctuation instantly spread out. "Hurry up and stop. If you don't stop, none of us will be able to escape. Attacking in Half-Cliff Sacred City is a capital offense." The voice in the dark could no longer hold back and hurriedly shouted. Seemingly knowing that she couldn't start a fight here, the woman retracted her oppressive imposing manner and spoke in a cold voice, "A puny eternal realm cultivator, yet you can still stand under my imposing manner. You must have some skills. For this reason, hand over the invitation, and I will let you go." Ning Cheng naturally knew that the other party wouldn't dare to kill him here. Man Huishan had chased him for so long, which made him feel very aggrieved. Now that he came out, he was threatened by a woman, which made him feel even more unhappy. This father won't hand it over. Can you bite me? He even dared to kill the 9th prince of the barbarian dragon clan, so how could he be threatened by a woman? It was his carelessness to let this woman suppress him with her imposing manner. If this woman dared to use her imposing manner to suppress him again, he would instantly use a lawless method to break free from the other party's suppression and escape. Unless this woman didn't want to live and dared to chase after him in Half-Cliff Sacred City. The woman trembled with anger when she heard Ning Cheng's words. From the moment she started cultivating until now, She had never seen anyone dare to act like a father in front of her. Seeing the two of them clashing again, with Ning Cheng wanting to leave and this woman wanting to start a fight, the person who sold the invitation secretly complained in his heart. If he hadn't sold Ning Cheng's invitation, he wouldn't have cared if these two people lived or died. But now, once these two people caused trouble outside, they would definitely find out about it. Thinking of this, the man in the dark hurriedly said, "There's a better way. This invitation is a high-grade invitation, and you can take one person with you. As long as you two cooperate, you can both enter." The female cultivator with a veil over her face didn't do anything after hearing this proposal. Instead, she just stood in front of Ning Cheng and blocked his way out. Ning Cheng understood what the other party meant. That is, she agreed with the words of the person who sold the invitation and wanted to share an invitation with him. Ning Cheng felt helpless, but he knew that he had to agree. This woman's strength was terrifying, and he couldn't refuse her at all. If this weren't Half-Cliff's sacred city, he might have already been killed by her. "Okay, I agree. But I'm the master, and you're the subordinate. Otherwise, there's no room for discussion." Ning Cheng hesitated a little before agreeing to the proposal. When he scanned the invitation just now, he saw that one could take one person with them. The woman nodded. "Okay, let's do it." She didn't care about who was the master and who was the deputy. As long as they entered the 9 Revolutions sacred Tao Pond, it would be fine. After the two reached an agreement, they walked out of the dim place together. "The invitation is for the day after tomorrow. We'll contact each other again the day after tomorrow." After Ning Cheng finished speaking, he quickened his pace. He wanted to find a place to stay first. The woman didn't seem to hear Ning Cheng's words and also quickened her pace to keep up with Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng stopped and calmly looked at the woman with a veil over her face. He tried to slow down his tone and spoke, "I'm looking for a place to stay. Why are you following me? I said that we'll go together the day after tomorrow, so we'll go together the day after tomorrow. If you don't believe me, then find a way yourself." The woman took in a deep breath and seemed to forcibly suppress the discomfort in her heart before speaking. "I don't really believe you. She's really direct." Ning Cheng felt speechless. He didn't pay any more attention to the woman and directly walked towards a nearby rest stop. "Two guests, this rest stop is full. Please go to the next one." A waiter of the rest stop stopped Ning Cheng. The woman didn't speak. She knew that Ning Cheng couldn't find a place to stay. She had asked a lot of people before, but none of the rest stops had a vacant room. Ning Cheng was familiar with this kind of thing and naturally wouldn't leave just because of the waiter's words. He took out a storage bag and threw it in front of the waiter and said, "Find me a good room, and you can have the rest." The waiter was about to refuse, but when his spiritual consciousness fell into the storage bag and saw that it contained 50,000 spirit crystals, he immediately changed his words and said, "I can only help you take a look. If you really can't find a place to stay, then there's nothing I can do." Ning Cheng didn't speak and just waved his hand, indicating that the waiter should hurry up and go. He guessed that the waiter didn't lie. The reason why he gave 50,000 spirit crystals was that some of the spirit crystals were given to the waiter for the cultivators who wanted to leave. Asking others to leave naturally required some spirit crystals. The waiter turned around and retreated. In just half an incense stick worth of time, the waiter came down with a smile on his face and cupped his fists towards Ning Cheng. "This friend just checked out of a room. I've already helped you with the procedures. Room C59. While talking, the waiter took out 2 jade cards and handed them to Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng understood that the waiter had misunderstood and thought that the woman with a veil over her face was with him. Ning Cheng didn't say much and put away the 2 jade cards before going upstairs. The woman with the veil over her face secretly admired Ning Cheng in her heart. Why didn't she think of such a simple solution? Ning Cheng went upstairs, but the woman didn't follow him upstairs. After Ning Cheng walked away, she also took out a storage bag and handed it to the waiter. "Help me find a room too. There's more for you." With the previous experience, the waiter naturally grabbed the storage bag and went upstairs to change rooms. Sure enough, after a short while, the waiter once again exchanged for an empty room. After Ning Cheng entered the room, he began to rearrange the restrictions in the room. After an incense stick worth of time passed, He hadn't finished arranging the restrictions when the restriction at the door moved. Ning Cheng saw the woman outside and helplessly opened the restriction before asking, "I believe you already have a place to stay. There are still 2 days before the congratulatory ceremony. What are you doing here now?" The woman flashed into Ning Cheng's room and swept out with her spiritual consciousness before taking out a communication pearl and handing it to Ning Cheng. "Let's exchange communication pearls. I still don't trust you." Ning Cheng spoke with sarcasm. "If you don't trust me, then you can come in and live with me. I'm very generous." The woman hesitated for a moment before unexpectedly nodding. "All right, there are 2 rooms here." With that, she directly put away her communication pearl and walked towards one of the rooms. Ning Cheng stared at the woman with the veil over her face, while thousands of alpacas ran around in his heart. Couldn't this woman hear his sarcasm? "Fuck, I'm mocking you." This woman looked noble and holy, yet she even dared to share a room with a strange male cultivator. People really can't just rely on their feelings. Feelings were not reliable at all. Looking at this woman walking towards the room, Ning Cheng couldn't help but stretch out his middle finger and shake it behind her back. What Ning Cheng didn't expect was that this woman suddenly stopped, turned around and looked at Ning Cheng with a frown and spoke. "You're showing your middle finger because you despise me and want to curse at me, right?" Ning Cheng's hand trembled and quickly put down his finger. This was a gesture from Earth. How did this woman know about it? Thinking of the other party's terrifying cultivation, Ning Cheng smiled and spoke. "No, I'm just saying that I'm honored to live with you. Stretching out my middle finger is to welcome you, a warm welcome." The woman shook her head and spoke. "No, I once teamed up with a man to deal with a pretty boy. That man stretched out his middle finger to that pretty boy. It was not a good gesture." Ning Cheng felt surprised in his heart. Was it someone who came from Earth with him? He couldn't care about anything else and quickly asked, "Excuse me, what was that man's name?" Chapter 930. Why should I tell you? We're just using each other. What's there to ask? The woman's tone was flat, and she refused without any hesitation. Ning Cheng's words and actions were impolite, which made her feel disgusted. Ning Cheng sneered, "You're using me but not each other. You just used your strength to oppress me and use me. And what did I use you for? To put it bluntly, if I were stronger than you, I would have kicked you away a long time ago." Ning Cheng didn't care if this woman didn't say anything. Pointing out a middle finger didn't necessarily mean that he came from Earth. Besides, he had seen some familiar words in the Star Stepping Tower before. Could the Star Stepping Tower master also come from Earth? That was obviously unrealistic. The starry sky was vast, and there were many similar things happening. The woman's face heated up a little. She didn't like this kind of method. However, she had to go to the 9 Revolutions Sacred Tao Pond. The 9 Revolutions Sacred Tao Pond didn't keep its promise and took away something important to her. What belonged to her, she had to get it back. I don't want to mention that person's name, but I can tell you my name. My name is Ruo Shi, and I indeed benefited from you this time. I wanted to discuss with you how many spirit crystals you want me to pay for your invitation. I naturally won't refuse to pay the spirit crystals." The female cultivator named Ruo, she felt a little embarrassed after hearing Ning Cheng's words. Ning Cheng was experienced and knew at a glance that this female cultivator rarely did such things, which was why she felt embarrassed. Feeling a little better, he nodded and said, "Forget it. Since I'm a man, I'll eat a loss. You can just give me 1 or 200,000 high-rank spirit crystals." Just as she was about to take out 200,000 spirit crystals for Ning Cheng, she suddenly remembered that she had spent all these years in the void. Coupled with the fact that she didn't have the concept of saving, she directly gave 50,000 spirit crystals to the shop assistant. Now, she really didn't have many spirit crystals left. It's just that she had no concept of spirit crystals. If she wanted to use them, she would use them. It wasn't until she was about to give Ning Cheng that she remembered that she didn't have many spirit crystals on her. "I'll give you the spirit crystals later. I'm going to rest. Call me the day after tomorrow." After Ruo Shi finished, she hurriedly walked into the room and activated a restriction. Ning Cheng pursed his lips and thought to himself, "I knew it would be like this." Since this woman didn't want to pay spirit crystals, he couldn't force her. After all, in terms of cultivation, this woman named Ruo, she was much stronger than him. Returning to his room, Ning Qing immediately activated several restrictions. Ruo Shi's spiritual consciousness fell outside Ning Cheng's room. But when she found that her spiritual consciousness couldn't penetrate Ning Cheng's restrictions, she felt slightly startled. This cultivator in the eternal realm looked like he had just started transforming his spirit essence, so how could he have such powerful attainments in array formations? After an uneventful night, Ruo Shi left the room early the next morning. Ning Qing naturally wouldn't ask where this woman went. He just wanted to seize the time to temper his sea of consciousness. Half a day later, the restriction on Ning Cheng's room finally activated. Ning Cheng reluctantly opened the restriction and looked at Ji Shi at the door before speaking. What else do you want? It's not even the day after tomorrow, okay? I almost succeeded in vindicating my Tao just now, but now that I've been interrupted by you, perhaps my Tao vindicating path will come to a halt. I know you're strong and I can't beat you, but aren't you afraid of retribution for doing things that harm others without benefiting yourself? Ruo Shi, who was just about to open her mouth, felt her face turn red from Ning Cheng's words. She wasn't the kind of shameless cultivator like others. It was because she saw something she urgently needed today that she anxiously came to find Ning Cheng. I'm sorry, I didn't mean it. Knowing that Ning Cheng was talking nonsense, Ruo Shi could only forcibly hold back. In Half-Cliff's sacred city, she really didn't know anyone except Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng sighed. Okay, I know you didn't mean it. You can go out now. I want to borrow some spirit crystals from you. Ruo Shi awkwardly stated her purpose for coming here. Ning Cheng stood up and looked at Ruo Shi in amazement. No way, I took you to the 9 Revolutions sacred Tao pond for free and even gave you a room to live in for free. Yet you still want to borrow spirit crystals from me? To put it nicely, it's just borrowing. But to put it bluntly, I'm afraid you can't get it back, right? I really need it urgently, I promise. Ning Cheng interrupted the other party again. I don't even know you, so why should I lend you spirit crystals? After we arrive at the 9 Revolutions sacred Tao pond the day after tomorrow, you are you, and I am me. No one has anything to do with each other. Ruo Shi hesitated for a long time before suddenly pulling off the veil covering her face and saying, Now you know me. I'm not from the grand essence realm, but from the absolute beginning sacred Tao world. You probably don't know about the opening heaven talisman, but I have one. Feeling too anxious, Ruo Shi's tone turned a little messy. A breathtakingly beautiful face appeared in front of Ning Cheng. Lan Bing was also very beautiful, but Lan Bing's beauty made Ning Cheng's heart turn cold. This woman, on the other hand, was a natural beauty. Her beautiful face also had a trace of holy Tao charm. This kind of beauty made people want to take a few more glances. Ning Cheng took in a deep breath and quickly calmed down. He immediately thought of elder sister Lan Shu. This should be a cultivation method she cultivated. The more she cultivated, the more beautiful she became. She even had a hint of holy aura. Elder sister Lan Shu said that she would pass the cultivation method to Lu Fei, but he never found her again. Even if he succeeded in his cultivation, he still couldn't find Lan Shu when he returned to the graceful star mainland. Seeing Ning Cheng staring at her in a daze, Ruo Shi didn't continue. She didn't care about it and just put away the veil. Now that you've seen me, we can be considered acquaintances. Please believe me, I will definitely return it to you. Because of Ruo Shi's stunning appearance, Ning Cheng didn't remember her words. But now that he recovered, Ning Cheng remembered her words and hurriedly asked, Tao friend Ruo Shi, did you just say that you have an opening heaven talisman? Ruo Shi shook her head. The reason I came here is to snatch an opening heaven talisman, but I didn't manage to snatch the opening heaven talisman. Ning Cheng suddenly thought of Tsang Wei. Tsang Wei had an opening heaven talisman. Was Tsang Wei's opening heaven talisman the one this woman participated in snatching? No. How many years had Tsang Wei been at the bottom of the Blood River? He didn't ask Ruo Shi about Tsang Wei. In case the two of them were enemies, this woman might kill him. Maybe after Tsang Wei snatched the opening heaven talisman, he encountered the laws of time in the void. You have the opening heaven talisman's child talisman, What use do you have for me? Ning Cheng asked in confusion. Ruo Shi took in a deep breath and said, I missed a very important thing because I didn't understand it. Later, after I learned that this thing was very important, I used the sect's treasures to exchange for it. Unexpectedly, after that person received my treasures, he also learned about the preciousness of this thing and changed his mind at the last minute. However, he couldn't return the things I gave him in exchange. When I chased after him, I encountered many people trying to snatch the opening heaven talisman and the 9 child talismans. The opening heaven talisman is extremely precious, and I was naturally no exception. At that time, there were hundreds of cultivators trying to snatch the opening heaven talisman, and I was lucky enough to snatch a child talisman. Because the people who snatched the opening heaven talisman and the child talisman were all tyrannical people, the powerful spatial fluctuations stimulated the opening heaven talisman and the many child talismans. Ning Cheng somewhat understood and asked in amazement, You mean, those people who snatched the opening heaven talisman and the opening heaven talisman all passed through positional planes because of the activation of the talisman? Ruo Shi remained silent for a while before speaking. As for whether they all passed through positional planes or not, I'm not sure. But after the opening heaven talisman was activated, there must have been a lot of people passing through positional planes. The reason I came to this universe's positional plane was because the child talisman I grabbed also activated. By the way, didn't you miss out on something very important? Ning Cheng felt a little itchy in his heart. Even a powerhouse like Ruo Shi felt that he had missed out on something. What kind of precious thing was it? I took it back and lost it. That person also passed through positional planes because he snatched the opening heaven talisman. I managed to snatch it back from him, but it ended up in the hands of the 9 Revolutions Sacred Tao Pond. Hearing Ruo Shi's words, Ning Cheng shook his head speechlessly. This woman's EQ shouldn't be too high. Otherwise, how could the thing she obtained end up in the hands of the 9 Revolutions Sacred Tao Pond? With her strength, the 9 Revolutions Sacred Tao Pond shouldn't have snatched it by force. If it wasn't by force, then she must have been deceived. Then why do you want to borrow spirit crystals? Ning Cheng asked a lot of questions and didn't intend to lend spirit crystals to Ruo Shi. Did looking at her face equate to knowing her? Once the other party borrowed his spirit crystals and used the opening heaven talisman's child talisman to leave, who would he ask for it? Ruo Shi looked at Ning Cheng expectantly and said, My opening heaven talisman's child talisman has already been activated, and it can't be activated again. I need 2 materials to activate the opening heaven talisman's child talisman again. Today, I saw one of them in a merchant house in Half Cliff's sacred city. Ning Cheng, who had an indifferent look on his face, almost grabbed her hand when he heard Ruo Shi's words. Fortunately, he quickly calmed down and asked with a slight excitement, Senior Apprentice Sister Ruo Shi, are you saying that the opening heaven talisman's child talisman can be restored through external objects? He still had an opening heaven talisman's child talisman on him, but it had already been used. If it could be activated, wouldn't it mean that he could use it repeatedly? Ruo Shi nodded, that's right. Using the extreme heaven rain trace and the dark void milk, one can restore the activated child talisman. Today, I saw the dark void milk in Half Cliff's sacred city. There wasn't much of it, and I was afraid that someone else might have taken it away. That's why I came here to borrow spirit crystals from you. Ning Cheng changed the way he addressed her as Senior Apprentice Sister, which made her feel less disgusted with Ning Cheng. She didn't even wait for Ning Cheng to ask and took the initiative to speak. When Ning Cheng heard Ruo Shi's words, he understood that although this woman was very smart, she didn't have much social experience. From the looks of it, she had been isolated from the hustle and bustle of the city. Otherwise, he wouldn't have mentioned these 2 items before he even asked. Senior Apprentice Sister Ruo Shi, as you said before, we are now in a relationship of mutual help. Your business is my business. Let's go, I'll go with you. Don't think too much about it. I'm going with you because I'm good at bargaining. I'm afraid that others will rip you off. Ning Cheng patted his chest as a guarantee. Okay, let's go now. Obviously, Ruo Shi was much more anxious than Ning Cheng. Chapter 931. When Ruoshi hurried out of the inn with Ning Cheng, she remembered to ask, "Thank you for helping me. I still don't know your name?" Ning Cheng smiled. "My name is Cheng Yanxiong. By the way, how did your things end up in the 9 Revolutions Sacred Tao Pond?" One of their sect's disciples was seriously injured and needed my things to heal. Plus, I needed the extreme heaven rain trace, which the 9 Revolutions Sacred Tao Pond had. Ruoshi sighed. Ning Cheng felt happy in his heart but looked at Ruoshi calmly. "You mean the 9 Revolutions Sacred Tao Pond has the extreme heaven rain trace? Did they give it to you?" Ruoshi nodded. "That woman is very powerful and very scheming. When she discussed with me, she was very sincere and generous. She didn't even see my things before taking out 2 bottles of the extreme heaven rain trace. She also said that if it wasn't enough, they would find another way." Ning Cheng in his heart completely understood what was going on, as he spoke in a somewhat speechless manner. "So you also gave your treasures to them?" Ruoshi nodded and said with some helplessness, "I thought that such a straightforward person would definitely return my things to me after saving them. Besides, I urgently needed the extreme heaven rain trace. Plus, the 9 Revolutions Sacred Tao Pond is similar to my original sect. But what I didn't expect was that such a big sect wouldn't even care about face. After they realized that I had no roots and no foundation, they directly took away my bead. At that time, they had a Tao fusion powerhouse who said to wait a few more days. I knew that I couldn't get my things back. But I wasn't as strong as the other party, so I could only leave." Ning Cheng also felt some sympathy for Ruoshi. He could feel that this woman wasn't a bad person. But because she wasn't a bad person, she fell for the sincerity and magnanimity of others and lost the bead. This was somewhat similar to his character. If the other party opened their hearts and acted honestly, he wouldn't be too calculative. If you go to the 9 Revolutions Sacred Tao Pond without a veil, won't others recognize you? Ning Cheng looked at the beautiful Ruoshi with some worry. Perhaps it was because they were in the same boat. This woman had suffered a big loss because of the 9 Revolutions Sacred Tao Pond. With her cultivation, even if she was in the primordial Tao realm, it would still be difficult for her to get her pearl from the 9 Revolutions Sacred Tao Pond. The 9 Revolutions Sacred Tao Pond definitely had a Tao fusion expert. Once discovered, she might even lose her life. Ruoshi shook her head and said, "They can't recognize me. This is my original appearance. When I trade with them, I have a different image." "Telling me this, aren't you afraid that I would go to the 9 Revolutions Sacred Tao Pond and tell on you?" Ning Cheng looked at Ruoshi with a smile. Ruoshi replied in a calm voice, "Although you look a bit vulgar, I believe my eyes. You're not the kind of person who would go snitch." When Ning Cheng heard this, he felt very comfortable in his heart. This beauty's vision was quite good. She even knew that he was not a small person. "Besides, you spent a lot of money to go to the 9 Revolutions Sacred Tao Pond. I believe that you didn't really go there to congratulate the marriage between the 2 sections. If you tell on them, you're telling on yourself." Ruoshi stopped here and looked at Ning Cheng before showing a slight smile. "I'll always be by your side." Ning Cheng felt extremely depressed in his heart. This woman's last sentence should be the truth. As long as he moved even the slightest bit, not even his bones would remain. This woman probably wasn't easy to fool. "So, as long as you get the dark void milk, you can repair the child talisman?" Ning Cheng thought about the 2 bottles of extreme heaven rain trace and couldn't help but ask. "Yes." Ruoshi answered simply. The place where Ruoshi found the dark void milk was the 1,000-story merchant house. By the time Ning Cheng and Ruoshi arrived, the place was already packed with people. After entering the 1,000-story merchant house, Ruoshi hurried up to the 5th floor. As soon as she entered the 5th floor, her expression changed slightly. Ning Cheng saw Ruoshi's expression change and immediately knew that it wasn't good. Sure enough, Ruoshi walked to the innermost exquisite counter in a few steps, pointed to an empty spot, and asked anxiously, "Where's the dark void milk here?" The shop assistant at the counter raised his head absent-mindedly, but when he saw Ruoshi's beautiful face, his expression immediately straightened up and he replied politely, "Dear customer, the dark void milk was purchased by a customer not long ago." Ruoshi let out a "nah." feeling a little anxious. She hadn't been looking for the dark void milk for a day or two and knew that it was extremely difficult to find. She originally just wanted to give it a try and casually stroll around Half-Cliff Sacred City, but she didn't expect to actually see the dark void milk. She feared that by the time she got a large sum of spirit crystals, the dark void milk would have already been bought by someone else. She didn't expect that even if she put down her pride and asked Ning Cheng to borrow spirit crystals, it would still be a step too late. Oh, that's the customer who bought it. The shop assistant at the counter looked at Ruoxi's alluring face and finally found a sentence to please her. Ruoxi looked back and saw a fierce male cultivator who had just come down from the 6th floor and was passing through the door of the 5th floor. She didn't even think about it and directly chased after him. Ning Cheng didn't follow her out but looked at the shop assistant with a smile and asked, "What's the dark void milk? Is it very precious?" The shop assistant wasn't as polite to Ning Cheng as he was to Ruoxi and said with a calm tone, "A bottle costs 7.4 million high-rank spirit crystals. Do you think it's precious?" Ruoxi, on seeing that Ning Cheng didn't follow her out, hurriedly rushed back in and pulled Ning Cheng away. Ning Cheng had to pay with spirit crystals, and even if she found the other party, she wouldn't have any spirit crystals to pay for it. Moreover, she really didn't have any treasures on her that could compare to the dark void milk. "Dao friend, please wait." When Ruoxi rushed out of the 1,000-story merchant house with Ning Cheng, the fierce-looking man had just walked out of the building. When the man heard someone calling out to him, his spiritual consciousness immediately swept over, and his face turned cold. With Ning Cheng's eternal cultivation, he couldn't help but shiver when this spiritual consciousness invaded his body. He could tell that this fierce man's strength definitely hadn't reached the second step of Dao-confirming realm. If he wasn't wrong, this fellow should be a Dao transformation expert. However, when the fierce man saw that it was Ruoxi who called out to him, his face eased up slightly, but his tone remained cold. "Did you call me?" Ruoxi quickly stepped forward and cupped her fists. "Yes, I have something to do and want to make a deal with this Dao friend. I wonder if Dao friend can spare some time?" "Sorry, I don't trade with strangers." With that, the man turned around and left. Ruoxi felt anxious, but there was nothing she could do. Ning Cheng suddenly stepped forward and said, "I have something that my friend urgently needs. You can take a look. I promise that you will be interested in it." The Dao transformation man turned around again and stared at Ning Cheng coldly. "You're just an eternal ant, yet you dare to say that I urgently need something in front of me? If this weren't the holy city, I would have already killed someone like you." Ning Cheng showed a faint smile and suddenly took out a jade bottle and flicked it over. "Friend, take a look at this thing first. If you think it's good, then we can talk again. If this thing is of no use to you, then just pretend that I didn't say anything." The Dao transformation man reached out and grabbed Ning Cheng's jade bottle. With a cold snort, he opened the jade bottle and swept his spiritual consciousness inside. But then, his expression changed slightly, and his tone turned low. "You too, come with me to the rest stop in front to talk." However, he didn't return the jade bottle in his hand to Ning Cheng. Ruoxi also glanced at Ning Cheng in surprise. She could tell with a slight sweep of her spiritual consciousness. Ning Cheng's jade bottle contained a medicinal pill with a refreshing aura that could expand one's sea of consciousness. The way she looked at Ning Cheng also changed. How precious was a medicinal pill that could expand one's sea of consciousness? How could a puny eternal cultivator have such a medicinal pill? A few minutes later, the Dao transformation man walked into the rest stop. When Ning Cheng and Ruoxi followed him in, the rest stop's shop assistant had already taken out a spare private room. From this, it could be seen that the shop assistant also knew that this Dao transformation man was strong. Ning Cheng glanced at Ruoxi beside him and couldn't help but think that this was a comparison. This fellow, a Dao transformation cultivator, came to the rest stop and didn't even need to say much before the private room came out. "You're probably even stronger than a Dao transformation cultivator, yet you still want to learn the method of an eternal cultivator and pay 50,000 spirit crystals." Ruoxi acted as if she didn't see Ning Cheng's gaze. She didn't need to explain this to Ning Cheng. After Ning Cheng and Ruoxi sat down in the private room, The Dao Transformation Man raised his hand and activated the restrictions on the private room. He then put the jade bottle in his hand on the table and looked at Ning Cheng. "How many of these medicinal pills do you have? Take them all out." Ning Cheng looked at Ruoxi speechlessly. Why did people with higher cultivation act as if they had tens of thousands of spirit crystals? Why did they always ask the other party to do things? Could they not be so shameless? Ruoxi understood Ning Cheng's meaning. She blushed slightly and sent a voice transmission to Ning Cheng. "You find a way to trade for the dark void milk, and I'll give you a bottle of extreme heaven rain trace." As soon as Ning Cheng heard Ruoxi's words, he understood that the other party also knew that he had a child talisman. But he didn't care about it. This woman was pleasing to the eye and didn't do anything too excessive. He didn't answer Ruoxi. Instead, he looked at the Dao Transformation Man and spoke with a flat tone. "Since it's a transaction, both sides naturally agree to it. You didn't ask me what I wanted, nor did you take out anything. Yet, you want me to take out everything?" Hearing Ning Cheng dare to speak to him in such a tone, the Dao Transformation Man narrowed his eyes and released his imposing aura. A Dao Transformation cultivator wanted to suppress him with his imposing aura alone. Ning Cheng snorted coldly in his heart. But before he could resist, the Dao Transformation cultivator's imposing aura seemed to have met an invisible barrier and instantly rolled back. Bang! With a soft sound, the jade table between the three disappeared without a trace. The Dao Transformation Man's expression changed. He suddenly stood up and stared at Ruoxi in shock. "Dao Essence Powerhouse." Ruoxi sat there without moving or answering the Dao Transformation Man's words. "It was my fault just now." After the Dao Transformation Man finished speaking, he waved his hand, and another jade table appeared in front of the three. Cold sweat trickled down his back. He could feel that Ruoxi's cultivation wasn't low. She might even be a Dao Transformation powerhouse. However, he didn't take it seriously. With his means to easily suppress those in the same realm, he wouldn't care about a Dao Transformation cultivator at all. But he didn't expect that this beautiful woman was a Dao Essence powerhouse. Chapter 932. Ning Cheng didn't speak at all. He just calmly looked at this Dao Transformation powerhouse in front of him. Ruoxi didn't have any spirit crystals, nor did she have anything to exchange with the other party. Not to mention, she knew that Ning Cheng's negotiation skills were much better than hers. The Dao Transformation Man naturally understood Ning Cheng and Ruoxi's attitude. He took the initiative to cup his fists and said, "Let me reintroduce myself. And Jihan, I have a nickname, Shattered Rain Demon Sage." Speaking of the Shattered Rain Demon Saint, only a few people in the Grand Essence domain didn't know about him. Although he was a Crucible Transformation Holy Emperor, he was definitely a powerhouse among powerhouses. Moreover, he was a demonic cultivator. His actions were ruthless and extremely slippery. Some large sects were not willing to become enemies with him. And Jihan thought that after he said his name, Ning Cheng and Ruoxi's expressions would change. What he didn't expect was that neither Ning Cheng nor Ruoxi showed any signs of surprise. Within Jihan's eyesight, he could naturally tell that the two of them were really not shocked. They were not pretending to be calm. And Jihan, who originally wanted to use his fame to gain an advantage, could only take a deep breath and say, "If I'm not mistaken, you just took out a spirit essence pill, right? Even the spirit essence pill isn't this powerful." Ning Cheng showed a faint smile. "The medicinal pill I took out is not the spirit essence pill, but the main ingredient is similar to the spirit essence pill, divine chalcedony. As for the effect, I believe that even 5 spirit essence pills might not be as powerful as this one pill of mine." The name of this pill was the Empyrean Consciousness Transmutation Pill. It could expand one's sea of consciousness, strengthen one's spiritual sense, cut off the impurities in one's spiritual sense, and even heal one's sea of consciousness. It's not wrong to say that there's no market for it. Not to mention Jihan, even Ruoxi's expression changed slightly. This pill was also very important to her. "Please bid, friend. I'm willing to buy this medicinal pill." And Jihan spoke with a deep voice. He no longer regarded Ning Cheng as an eternal-level cultivator. So what if a cultivator with such a heaven-defying divine pill was an eternal realm cultivator? As long as he casually took out some elixirs, there would be a bunch of first-step Dao validation experts following him. The beautiful primordial Dao woman in front of him was an example. According to Jihan's speculations, Ningqing not only possessed such a pill, but could also refine such a pill. Otherwise, the Dao essence woman beside him would have already killed this eternal ant and robbed him of his belongings. And Jihan thought that Ruoxi was a cruel and merciless person like him. The reason why I found you is because you have a bottle of dark void milk on you. Ningqing spoke with a smile. And Jihan's expression changed, and his tone became somewhat disappointed. You want the dark void milk? Then I'm really sorry. Although I really want the Empyrean consciousness transmutation pill, I can't exchange it for the dark void milk. Otherwise, I wouldn't have spent more than 10 million divine crystals to buy a bottle of dark void milk. This thing is very important to me. After saying that, and Jihan even slowly stood up. His tone and actions showed that although he really wanted the Empyrean consciousness transmutation pill, the dark void milk was more important to him. Ruoxi's expression also changed drastically. If she couldn't exchange for the dark void milk, how could she go back? Ningqing showed a slight frown. He did not expect the dark void milk to be so important to Jihan. Just as he was about to suffer a loss and take the dark void milk, his heart suddenly stirred. And Jihan had definitely lied just now. The dark void milk wasn't that important to him. If the dark void milk was really that important to him, he wouldn't have deliberately misstated the price of the dark void milk. It was clearly only a little more than 7 million divine crystals, yet he insisted on saying it was more than 10 million. What's more, if such a thing was really important to him, he wouldn't have stated the price. Seeing Jihan walk out and Ningqing not moving, Ruoxi felt extremely anxious. This thing belonged to Ningqing. If Ningqing didn't speak, she couldn't make the decision at all. But now that Jihan wanted to leave, even if she couldn't make the decision, she couldn't care less. She suddenly stood up and was about to chase after him. Ningqing raised his hand to grab Ruoxi's wrist. However, Ruoxi's cultivation was much higher than his. Her hand shook and avoided Ningqing's hand, allowing Ningqing to grab her dress. Let go. Ruoxi frowned slightly. She still wanted to use Ningqing, so she couldn't attack Ningqing. Ningqing calmly said, "This isn't the only bottle of dark void milk. Since the other party has an important use for it, I have a way to get my hands on some dark void milk. It's just a little more troublesome." "Ah, you can get." Ningqing didn't wait for Ruoxi to finish and waved his hand, motioning her not to continue. At the same time, he stood up and said, "Let's go. We'll talk about it when we get back." Ruoxi had already reacted. Ningqing was lying. This was a psychological tactic. If Ningqing could really get his hands on dark void milk, he wouldn't have come here with her, nor would he have asked her how to activate the opening Heaven Child talisman. And Jihan walked out of the box and saw that Ningqing didn't stop him. He knew that his strategy had failed. As for Ningqing saying that he could get dark void milk from other places, Jihan didn't take it to heart at all. He wasn't in urgent need of dark void milk, and he also knew that this thing couldn't be obtained easily. But even if Ningqing lied to him, so what? He wasn't in urgent need of dark void milk, but the Empyrean consciousness transmutation pill. He knew that this was the other party's psychological tactic, but he had no choice but to come back. Knowing that the other party could find dark void milk was a lie, he would still be affected. And Jihan sighed. His Dao heart was still lacking a little. He couldn't remain still under the influence of external objects. Without waiting for Ningqing and Ruoxi to walk out of the box, Jihan returned again. He didn't feel embarrassed at all. Instead, he spoke to Ningqing and Ruoxi with a solemn voice. "I just thought about it, and I do need dark void milk. But if I have enough Empyrean consciousness transmutation pills, I'll accept it." Ningqing smiled. Sure enough, it was like this. Ruoxi remained calm. When she realized that Ningqing had used psychological tactics, she understood that there was something wrong with Jihan's words. "Here's what I'm thinking. If Holy Emperor Shattered Rain has a bottle of dark void milk, I'm willing to pay 2 million high-rank spirit crystals, plus 5 Empyrean consciousness transmutation pills. The one I gave you as a sample just now, count it as my gift to you. Ning Qing didn't sit down at all and spoke directly. Seeing in Jihan about to speak, Ning Qing stopped him in front of him and said, I only have these things. If Holy Emperor Shattered Rain is willing to exchange, then let's exchange. If not, then we'll find another way. I can still get a bottle of dark void milk worth more than 7 million. When Jihan saw that Ning Qing didn't even have the intention to sit down, he understood that this was the only way. If he didn't agree, then he wouldn't be able to obtain the Empyrean consciousness transmutation pill. Ruo Shi also felt relieved when she saw Ning Qing and Jihan successfully exchange. I owe you a favor today. I will definitely return the spirit crystals I owe you. As soon as Ruo Shi and Ning Qing returned to the rest stop, she took the initiative to speak up. Ning Qing waved his hand, we don't owe each other anything. I have an opening heaven talisman, child talisman, and you also have one. I will now give you the dark void milk, and you can help me restore this child talisman. Ning Qing didn't know how to restore child talismans at all. Even if he had the materials, he didn't have the means to do so. Ruo Shi nodded. Even if Ning Qing hadn't said it, she had already planned to do so. When she told Ning Qing that the child talisman required 2 kinds of materials, she immediately understood what was going on. 2 dim child talismans were placed in front of Ruo Shi. Ruo Shi raised her hand, and the 2 child talismans floated in front of her. She began to lay down restrictions one after another, wrapping around the child talisman. Then she took out 2 black jade bottles. Ning Qing guessed that the 2 jade bottles that Ruo Shi had just taken out should be the extreme heaven rain trace. After half an incense stick worth of time, Ruo Shi poured the 2 bottles of extreme heaven rain trace into the restrictions she laid down. She then opened the jade bottle of dark void milk and poured it in. A mysterious fluctuation of the laws of space formed in front of Ning Qing, making Ning Qing feel as if he was at the edge of a dark void abyss. Ning Qing's spiritual consciousness couldn't see the changes at all. He could only feel the repeated exchange of the laws of space and the tearing aura. Ruo Shi's hand seals grew faster, and in the end, even with Ning Qing's powerful spiritual consciousness, he could barely see some traces. Ning Qing secretly rejoiced in his heart. Fortunately, he had given everything to this woman. Otherwise, he really wouldn't have been able to complete this kind of thing. Another 2 hours passed, and 2 golden lights radiated from the restrictions in Ruo Shi's hands. Then the surrounding restrictions disappeared completely, and 2 palm-sized pale golden talismans fell to the ground. Sure enough, it was a child talisman of the opening heaven talisman. It was exactly the same as the child talisman that Song Wei had given him. Ning Qing was just about to grab one of the child talismans when he found Ruo Shi sitting in the same place with a pale face and trembling all over. Powerful spirit essence and spiritual qi had been sucked away by her, forming a faint vortex around her. From the looks of it, she consumed a lot of energy. Ning Qing had a better impression of this woman. He took out 2 jade boxes and put the 2 child talismans of the opening heaven talismans inside. Putting away the one that belonged to him, he then placed the other one next to Ruo Shi. After an incense stick worth of time, Ruo Shi opened her eyes and glanced at Ning Qing before saying, "Thank you. I should be the one thanking you. I'll put away this child talisman." Ning Qing raised the jade box in his hand. "Cheng Yanqiong should be your pseudonym, right? What's your real name?" Ruo Shi smiled slightly and put away her child talisman. Although Ning Qing's cultivation was far from Ruo Shi's, after this cooperation, the 2 of them had become less wary of each other. Ning Qing didn't hide it. "My name is Ning Qing. Among the Tao-confirming powerhouses I've seen, few are willing to talk nonsense with eternal cultivators. You're an exception. Ordinary Tao-confirming cultivators would never talk so much nonsense with an eternal cultivator." Ning Qing wasn't wrong to say that Ruo Shi was an exception. Ruo Shi smiled. Back when she was in the Tao sculpting realm, she also wouldn't talk much with eternal cultivators. It had nothing to do with looking down on them, but it was a kind of realm. Until she met that heaven-defying man. When she first saw him, he was just a small immortal emperor. In terms of this plane's realm, he was an eternal cultivator. But a few years later, she could only look up to him. That man had called the immortal goddess sacred sect a group of inhumane fake Taoist priestesses in front of her master. Even spitting in front of her master, the immortal goddess sacred sect could only endure it and accept it. Since then, she had never underestimated any eternal cultivator. Moreover, she felt that Ning Qing had a similar temperament to that person's. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.